Well, hello to everybody joining us today in this fancy exhibition match between Ronin and Exotic French, two fantastic competitive clubs. Should be a real treat. I'm Quarter, and of course, your charming host here is Tsubaki himself.
Hello everyone, nice to see all of you. A pleasure to have you with me, Quarter, like always.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that I could take the time to cast this with you. I mean, look, Club Wars are just fantastic. For anybody who is, for any reason, unfamiliar with this format, it's one of the most innovative ones that have come out of the Temtem competitive scene. Basic idea of it is a 5v5 elimination between two competitive clubs. Those clubs, of course, like the 5 members of each side can then advise the people who are in front battling. And you can swap out the person that wins rather than having them like need to stay in. So it's as much of a mind game as to who you're fighting as to like whether or not you're even going to succeed.
Yeah, sorry, I had like a lovely trade from Blank giving some giveaways, some Tsubakus.
Yeah, that should be a pretty cool thing to give away right there. Are those like some proper Luma ones then? Also, a quick heads up to Crater and anybody else curious there. Once again, it's just an exhibition match. These are basically just keeping everybody in mind of how those rules work. We're not doing a full Club Wars at the moment because we have yet to organize another one of those. It's just taking that format and throwing it between two clubs for funsies. It's more of a practice thing.
Yeah, wanted particularly to do like an event for everyone of the community. I know everyone loves Club Wars, so wanted to do an exhibition match. This week will be against Ronin, the next week will be against Paradox. So
Which will be, yeah, I'm super looking forward to that because of course that coincides with our anniversary at Paradox. So it's really nice that we were able to find a time that works for both events there.
yeah, the time, I mean, scheduling a day where everyone is free is always a bit harsh, so
Yep,
we
definitely.
did what we could.
That's all we can do. So, with that in mind, you're our referee here, if I'm correct there, Tsubaki. So, do we still have time before things are starting here, or are we waiting eagerly for our first match?
So we're waiting a little bit. I have the first players for Exotic. I'm waiting now for the first player of Ronin, but I will do the heads and tail. Is Ricky Tan in the chat? Because I know he's in charge for Ronin today.
All right. Well, hopefully that'll sort itself out nice and quick. If not, like if Silent's available, I'm sure you could probably talk to him as well.
I'm gonna DM him.
Either way, if the leader of Ronin inside this exhibition match can contact Tsubaki with your pick, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, I see Ricky Tan is here.
Marvelous.
Let's put that like this. Oh.
Oh man, we got a tiki book too.
Classique, c'était sur le stream aussi? Anyways, gonna let Ricky Tan choose first. Ricky Tan, what do you want, heads or tails? Ricky? Heads. Let's go. If it's heads, Ronin decides. If it's tails, Exotic will decide.
There
Good
we
luck.
are.
It's tails. So, Exotic.
I am told it never fails.
Exotic, you're the one to choose if you want to invite or not. I have both first participants. Let me just write it to both.
Fantastic. Well, I'm eager to see which of our contestants are going first. Now, one cool thing about this particular club war is the fact that Ronin and Exotic French have very similar styles in terms of the way that they both tend to have an aggressive focus with their team compositions. Obviously, there's a lot of variance between there for both of these clubs, like Classics for and even Neko Blackie actually runs. And okay, I would say Turby, but Turby's Tataru's now. Run much slower compositions in Exotic French, and you've got like you told me Zuxo's running very slow, and Rishi, of course, is known for more like balanced mid-range compositions as well.
Yeah.
And Buff Duck. Oh, I forgot about Buff Duck.
Been a long time I didn't see him play actually. And the
Seen him
first
recent.
match will be Doiko against. Okay, this one is a bit harder to say. VTH Sage.
Oh, Be the Sage. There we go.
Oh, V the Sage. Okay, my bad. Good luck and have fun for both of you guys. We are in the first match. Let's go.
All right. Well, looking at this, so Doiko, of course, is one of the people. He's one of the brainchildren of the like heavy aggression Cernif Cernif Firecoish lead, and like the person that made high speed Cernif a thing, right?
Right. He's always been really aggressive with it, playing even settling.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I've quite liked seeing settling return to things because it puts that much more pressure on your opener. And I feel like it's more just adding an extra little graze note of damage rather than trying to maximize it and keep it on the field forever.
Yeah. Agree, especially if you ignore a settling, it's gonna be painful.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely forgot, guys, sorry. Turbino and Saga, thanks a lot for the sub, really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, that always helps out. And yeah, anybody who wants to like, if you haven't at this point followed Tsubaki, like, please, he puts so much effort into these streams. It means a lot for everybody to like support us where we can. In the meantime, though, looking at this, so we see a first ban out of Doiko, just getting rid of that Kinu, which makes a lot of sense. That looks like it would be adding a lot of value into a lot of V's lineup against the remarkably sturdy setup in the back line that Doiko has.
Yeah, I mean, when you play aggressive, you don't really want to let the enemy as well being able to set up. So I could understand that, especially if he feels nothing is like a big threat. Seeing Doiko's team, he has like answers for a lot of those things in V the Sage comp. We see a Valorant ban.
Not against it, but I'm not sure whether that was the okay. If that's aerobic, then there's still things that could deal with it. But it's not looking like we have a lot of actual special attack on V's side. If that Valish got banned or wasn't first pickable for some reason, and that was an aerobic Valorant, then that would kind of run away with things.
Yeah, well, he's mostly physical, but still had Valash on his own Vola to deal with it, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's Trixie's, I suppose all I'd say there. Like, there were other things that could potentially, like, I'm looking at that Nagai's kind of just remembering all the other times I've seen Nagai's get picked into teams that are like heavy fire neutral and not liking what I recall. If V's relying on Cernif to deal with that, then I hope it's the right Cernif for the job.
I mean, first picking Kino for Doiko seems like he really wants to start then with Yola or Valash, I suppose. We'll see how V the Sage answers that.
I mean, those are the two most, like, intuitive combinations for that. We see Calibus come out, which does mean that we can immediately get some toxic skin and strangle pressure, and it puts tank threats onto the Kinu, and a Valish going straight out there as the Yowler is picked on Doiko's side.
Yeah. Now the question is, I suppose Yolar is not Chamomile, because if you play Chamomile Yolar, you need to first pick it, otherwise you don't get Kinu's buff.
Yeah, I've been appreciating all the people that are reminding me that that's a thing. We could assume in that case that this is either the greedy resistance badge setup or the more reasonable energy drink. So we see a Fire Quench ban makes sense given how much fire V has. You don't want things that are actually dealing with that, especially since Fire Quench just eats those so well. And then a Vola ban in response, which, yeah, Vola is one of the better tools we had to deal with both Gul'dir and Nagai's.
Yeah, both bans are really good in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, Doiko has really no fire resistance anymore except Naga. Because let's be honest, y'all are getting toxic inked. He's not gonna like it. Valash is probably just gonna madness buff.
Mm-hmm. I do think that despite the combinations that Doiko has in his lead, I think that he has to be very careful with the way that V has opened this, because if he handles it wrong, then V will run away with a lot here. As you like, especially since on top of that, a well-timed strangle, let's say for the sake of argument, the Kinu swaps out, but you've threatened that spot for the tank, so that's our first turn. But on the second turn, you strangle the Yowler, so that way it's only getting one comebacker off as you whittle it down. That feels pretty valuable in this instance.
Yeah, especially if you look Doiko's team, the only thing that really answers Valash now is Yolar. So if V the Sage managed to like play around it, we'll just feel really good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the follow, Achi and Super Blondine.
One thing I'm concerned about here is if he makes a poor swap with that Capire, then it's basically dead in the water. Like, I want to see that pop off, but I feel like in order for that to pop off, it needs to swap fresh into the battlefield off a death or something like that.
Yeah, I think like already seeing like a little bit further, like after the madness buff, you probably just switch to Valash, try to just get rid of Yolar, and then Valash runs the game.
I think that's pretty reasonable. With that, we get into our first game of this exhibition match as we see V the Sage face off against Doiko. And yeah, we talked a lot about this first turn. I do think that this is still pretty easy madness buff. The worst we're looking at here is a clinch beta burst if you really want to go crazy here, but I don't think Doika is going to leave this Kinu in, because you can't.
I mean, I think you can, especially because I don't see. I mean, Calabas is either Toxic Inking Yolar, either Strangle, but Toxic Ink feels just so good. I don't see him like focusing Kinu. What he could do is like switch Kinu into Nagais to have like then the speed tempo.
I think that's possible, actually. I still feel like there's a threat of Kinu being tanked this turn, although that would draw fire away from Yowler, which you want to apply pressure on Yowler turn 1, because that you're almost guaranteed it not attacking you in response. So it makes sense for that to be tanking the double in this turn. And yeah, setting up the Decidora for next turn would be incredibly powerful for Doiko.
Let's see how both decide to go there.
Well, with that, we do see the Kinu swap, and it's for his own Valash instead of the Nagais. And the Madness buff comes out. Yeah,
actually, it's not a bad choice, because Valash has to go. Oh, okay, yeah, no, then now Strangle.
So this is now looking deeply concerning for Doiko here, because that Strangle means suddenly it's like, okay, you basically have to hard swap at least one. Okay, like, do you just leave Yowler there and let it take damage? I don't think that's the answer here.
Is he really gonna damage the Yowler now? Because the thing is, like, Doiko's Valash could just madness buff as well.
It's worth threatening that spot, especially since at the moment it's. Okay, my concern there is, if Doiko leaves this Valash in expecting fire on the Yowler, then, I mean, especially if it's madness buffing, I'm very confident that a +2 Valash deals, like, at least 70% to this unbuffed Valash right here.
Oh, yeah, agreed. But then you let Yowler free. This is, like, now a big read Doiko needs to make. Which slot is he attacking? If you expect him to attack Valash, then you switch probably into something like Golder, because tank it well, but yeah, we'll see.
This is another problem, is I'm actually not seeing too much on Doiko's side that wants to deal with the pressure of a +2 Crystal Spikes. Golder is about all he has that isn't on the field right now.
Yeah, like, for sure the momentum is for V the Sage at the moment.
No, I definitely agree with you there.
Hello, Dumaga.
Honestly, if this Calabas just keeps strangling, that's going to be a pretty strong thing, because Like, if Yeller's only getting an attack off every other turn and V reads the suplex into the Valish next turn or something like that, that would just be fantastic.
Yep. Completely agreed there. I really wonder how they are gonna adapt to it. Oh, move has been done.
Oh man, and it's the hard read. It looks like the Valish is staying into Madness buff, expecting the pressure onto the Yeller, which happens. Okay, this turns things back in Doiko's favor significantly here.
For sure, that's really like, now he has a double threat on the field, and what do? Calabas can't really answer to it. If he doubles a spot, it's a 100% kill anyways, and Velash takes the heals. He needs to like only focus the left spot against V the Sage, and everything coming there just dies.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I feel like Firequash is his best answer into that spot.
But even then, yeah,
it's rough.
Savage Suplex, Crystal Spike, I think kills everything.
Oh, I'm really concerned about that Savage Suplex. We haven't seen what gear this Yowler has though. If it's Res Badge, then I completely agree. Nothing can swap in there safely. If it's Energy Drink, then there's a chance if something doesn't take too much damage from the +2 spikes. It's a long shot, but you know, maybe there's life.
Yeah, and he needs to do it with the Sage. Like, if he sacrifices Valash there, it feels so bad.
Yeah, this might honestly be where you just bring in Capire to chunk the hits and die. Like, sure, Capire is still valuable, but at the same time, it's by far the squishiest thing on V's side.
Oh, Cerny.
He brings in the Cerny to try to get... Okay, so if this is a Calosity thing, then maybe we get some value off of this. Instead, we see a focus onto the Calabas instead, who tanks the Yowler.
Oh, did he read that comebacker? No. Oh.
He did not. Goes onto the Cerny, which does not do over 40% and triggers Calosity, so that's a bit of a win for V just in terms of getting something on the board that can start pressuring again, because the synergy water cutting Lily here will help. It could become a synergy master water cutting Lily incidentally as well if we see a swap into the Firequash spot, which you know, that would help out V a lot in this instance. Like, I think honestly from 35% at +1, it depends on this Yowler spread, but if this Yowler, like, it, no matter what, it's dying to the Toxic take this turn if it stays in and eats a Water Cutting Lily.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really know. I don't understand why he just split it, actually, because what if he doubles into a spot? I feel that was like a kill. And then you take the heal on Valash as well. If you read the Calabas attacking you, then he doubled into it, at least with Comebacker would have probably killed the Calabas, but yeah.
Oh, well, that's why. He was confident in his Valash outspeeding.
So the other good thing, like, when he gets rid of Cernif and Calabas, if you think about it, the only answer to Naga is Valash. Because all the rest that he has left is double fire.
This is true. Koish is the best suited to surviving there, but honestly, the Calabas is so low at this point that it doesn't really count as a Tem that still exists. 4.6% dies to anything. At this point, I think it just has to be a full Valish game for V. Like, that's his only out. Bright side is, at this point, you know, the Yowler is capable of going down. Getting the Strangle onto Valish that turn was really valuable.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because Valash has no stamina anyways. He couldn't have, like, go into such a big overexertion, so...
You still totally could have dusted and taken out another thing.
Yeah, I suppose Calabas is just gonna switch into a fire there, but...
Yep. Honestly, like, the fact that Valash has dust as a low stamina option does mean that it could still exert a small amount of offensive pressure here and rely on a scavenger proc to keep it up. But in the meantime, we see a Gulder swap in on Doiko's side, which makes sense. He wants to keep that Yowler alive for when he gets that juicy Decidora up.
Oh, I still wonder, like, double switches would have been really great there for him as well, into the Naga Gulder, if you read him attacking Yolar, because he had to.
That makes sense. Like, I certainly agree that there was no way that V was attacking the Valish that turn. So yeah, you could have gotten a free swap there, but I suppose Doiko is trying to play it safe to avoid a hard read, because once again, we have to remember that it's everybody on both sides here making these calls. So that could easily be attributable to, mixed messages from Exotic French, or alternately just, them being careful about the reads coming out of Ronin here.
True. Don't forget, guys, this is like a 10 heading for both sides nearly, so...
Yeah, it does mean that you're going to get plays that are not quite what you would expect from either side, necessarily. But that's one of the joys of this. It also means that it's easier for people who are just getting, like, their feet wet in the comp scene to, like, make their debut, because, you're standing on the shoulders of giants, which is a fun thing to see. So the Calibus swaps out for the Catfire. Arguably the more vulnerable of the fires for if a Nagai swaps in at some point. And we do start seeing some pressure on that Valish, bringing it down to under 40%. But with no stamina and the poison takes here, this is looking a little rough for V the Sage.
Yeah, really a good turn for Doiko there. Because if he attacks now, let's say with a Crystal Spike, he kills himself before even healing, even if he kills something. So he needs to dust. But at the same time... Yeah, there's Copper. I mean, he could switch into Nagais, but if he gets a dust, he won't like it.
Yeah, honestly, if V keeps pressuring from here, he could bring this back. It's really tense, but I think Doiko has created a scenario where it has to be really tense.
Yeah.
Like, losing that Cerny before it was able to get an attack off was very painful for V the Sage. As always, the moment Atem, like, the moment the only thing Atem did was eat a swap, it just feels terrible. And the Catfire outspeeds the Valish, taking it out.
But
okay.
Valish overexerts there, so now it's a free Nagai's entry.
That might be why Doiko was, like, if that was an intentional sacrifice of that Valish, that could be the reason why there.
Yeah, this is really good now for Doiko, because he could even, like, Greedy Madness buff there. He doesn't really care to be sure to kill the Valish whenever he comes back.
I mean, yeah, stopping him from doing the Madness buff without even the Boozle. Like, just throw that Toxic Ink out there again.
Yeah, because even if Calibus comes back on a death at some point, he just needs... One Toxic Ink kills the Calibus before he even moves, so you don't really care at that point. Yeah, this is a great situation for Doiko.
So if I'm looking at V the Sage, the problem that I have is the only thing you have to swap here is Toxic Cohesion. Is Fire Cohesion. I don't like any of those swapping options here. That just feels like less momentum from V. If this Catfire has Roar, that's something. It's not good enough for this field at all because it does nothing to Nagais, but it at least stops a bit of the sting from the Guldur while you try to deal with that. But none of this is creating a winning scenario for Vid the Sage here. If the Deceiver is still up, then Calibus can get one hit off, but it has to come in on a death, as we've said. And if Doiko runs Psysurge, then it's a little hard to work with there.
Yeah, even if... I mean, I don't think Roar is a good option, because Guldur, I mean, is not damaging that much anyways.
You're right, it's all from poison ticks.
You want to kill Guldur then more with a Quetzal, because you just always read the Bamboozle into Nagais, I suppose. But at the same time, what do you do next turn after the Madness buff? It's like,
Problem is, okay, the wild play, which we won't see here, which is, of course, Extinction, which does not get run regularly on offensive Catfire, also doesn't work here because that would imply that you have enough time for that to take down before Nagais wins the game from here. And I don't think that's a possibility. I think that if V the Sage doesn't have some way to bring this back very quickly, which I don't see, then this is over in like 3 turns.
Yeah, because even if you kill the Guldur, he can just bring Kino then and start buffing Nagais and healing it. Oh, actually, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one, because he needed to kill the Guldur. Amazing play.
we get to find out whether this Nagai's has Psy Surge and threatens even harder, and what V the Sage is going to do to try to deal with this. Because
Uh,
yeah, no,
I,
that self boozle was really painful.
I think you Naga Fury all the time here. Like, it's just you're just making 2 kills.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that V the Sage has to block that. Now that I look at it again. Yep, it looks like this was a good general game plan from Doiko. Basically, you know, erode the things that would stop Naga from winning, and then bring in Naga Gulder and win the game.
Yeah, I really don't see how. What answers can Vita Sage have there?
If he can manage to keep... Okay, so he keeps the Valish alive, probably bringing in the Fire Quaish, recognizing that there's not much that he can do with it inside this particular scenario, so that way he can get the double in on the guys on the following turn with Calibus and Valish.
Whoa.
Yeah, we were going to see 2 Tems go down this turn. The smack.
And now, basically, because he has the Bamboozle on Naga, he just Toxic Ink Calabis because it kills before he doesn't move, and then you just kill Valesh with Naga. Like, this, yeah. This is GG.
Calibus could still strangle to break the evade there.
That's true. I don't see Valesh resisting a Madness buff with 21% and no wall.
Yeah, sadly, I agree with you there, but I do think that the winning play is to strangle in this scenario.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the only thing he could do, but yeah, didn't.
Which okay, that's another really interesting thing for Drill Calibus as an answer to Nagai's, because you know that you will outspeed that regardless if the Bamboozle is already up, which is a cool option. Ah, the Rend. Now, if that was just to flex, that's fantastic. But one thing to bear in mind with that is now Exotic French knows the other move on that. Okay, that doesn't matter because Via the Sage is, of course, being eliminated here. But it's always something to be careful about. Just throwing flex moves out there in a club war, is that means that your opponent knows them.
Yeah, when you're sure to be like alive, you want to try to avoid that. But GG.
Yeah, at this point. Well played. Exotic French taking their first game in this club war. Thank you for playing once again, Via the Sage. It was a cool team and cool to see. Obviously, there's a bit of scouting that could get done there. Like, for instance, they now know that that's not a sweatband Valish. So that's one good thing on that side.
Sure, they were able to see like every item from Doiko.
Pretty much. We can also be very confident that that was an energy drink Yowler.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't see it like being something else. Let me see who will be the second player for each club.
Definitely. Once again, guys, it's as we said before, a 5v5 elimination. So this means that V the Sage cannot play again, and at this point, Exotic French can either choose to leave Doiko in or swap another of their players in. Which should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mute myself when I'm writing because the keyboard otherwise is really noisy.
Oh, that's absolutely no problem. With that, we have to wonder how many of the other teams on Exotic French's side are as see, the funny thing is that's still like it's still an aggressive team, but it has a deceptive amount of bulk to it, is what I liked out of Doiko's team there. Just a bunch of good stuff combos.
Okay, so the second match will be Doiko again against K-Deer.
Okay. So it looks like Ronin's taking this opportunity to flex a lot of their newer members who are definitely rising at the moment.
I mean, like you said, I think that's fantastic because being able to play with a lot of veterans help you progress so quickly and just in such a way in a better way than playing alone on your side.
I completely agree. It does a lot to change your perspective of how matches work, which is a great thing to get early on. Especially if you're like starting to hit that 1500 range and you want to make sure that you're optimizing your plays a bit more.
Yeah. So I don't understand your question, Umar Patel. Tsubaki, it was very nice of you to cast and give Ronin a chance instead of 5. What the fuck? Hello, mate.
Okay, like, look, Tsubaki's the soul of generosity. Oh, whoa, what's that? Tiki's playing, according to Zuxo. We have a potential of a miracle in the background. Man. Also, Umar Patel, if you're looking at people that have permanent battle signs over their heads, that is actually a sign that they're in a battle. So that's what that is.
I wanted to make an event for the community and for the clubs as well, so yeah. Couldn't play. Never
Yeah,
mind,
no, that's
Ronin
just the
wins.
way of it.
So, surprisingly enough, Ronin doesn't want to invite, so Doiko will be inviting Kadir.
All right. So they're intentionally choosing orange. I mean, that's fair enough. Now, a lot of people prefer the lead pressure that you get from the counter pick from blue, but getting the last say on Temps can still be valuable. And if I recall correctly, the ban orientation of orange is pretty nice too.
Yeah, it really depends on how your team is built, but I still favor blue at orange. It's of course way better than earlier, but still, I would say still 60-40. But
Okay,
again, it
this is
depends on your team, yeah.
that's fair. I mean, this is a much more conventional team out of K-Deer. No Capire, for instance. Um, the mix, okay, no, like mix is I think the least orthodox Tem on this team, and even that has risen in usage like vastly in the past. Like I want to say what, a month?
Yeah. A bit more, maybe? A bit more.
Yeah, a bit more. It's been nice to see. Obviously, there was a period of time, especially when Ketsa meta was at its height, where you just would not see a mix. Like it basically they all turned into Valish. But in the meantime, since then we've seen a rise of some more interesting and avant-garde builds. Like for instance, of course, self-harm mix that spikes itself before you even have a chance to hit it,
True, we saw a couple of those lately.
which is nice. It lets people play Sweatband again because for a while it felt kind of locked into Strangevest. So we see a Gulder ban on Kadyr's side and a Cernif ban on Doiko's side. That makes some reasonable sense from both sides.
Yeah,
The
the
Cernif
certain.
kind of just looked frustrating for Kadyr to deal with if
Yeah,
you did the right Valorant, for instance. And even then, trying to take down a Callosity Cernif with Valorant just feels like a trial.
I agree. Cernif was just a perfect ban for Kadir because once Golder down, like you say, only Valorant, and even then, like Noxious Bomb after a couple of Callosity does nothing.
Exactly. It's a really grim play. The first pick of Gulder, though, looks like that's still going to be kind of frustrating for Kadir to work with. Does like he has to assume a Naga Gulder lead here, which means that he goes Grumper Vola, which I think is the best thing he could pick. Is this the mythical drill Grumper?
I think you can't afford really to pick Naga there. I mean, Grumper is mostly Chamomile, but because you see a Yolar there, you could ask yourself if it still is actually a Chamomile or a Drill. So yeah, he didn't take that risk.
Yeah, no. I feel like if this was a ruse on Ronin's side in draft, then well done. Because yeah, like disincentivizing the Naga play here means that now Kadir can just ban Naga, and that feels really strong for him.
Yeah. I mean, he has a couple of answers to Naga, to be fair. Vola, Mix, Wolfie.
I agree.
But yeah.
It's the fact that like having that combination together and not having a Gulder to respond with on Kadir's side means that there's definitely more of an incentive for him to eliminate that combination.
Yeah, you're right.
Especially since he still has his own Naga to potentially deal with the Yowler if that becomes the combo that Doiko has to rely on a bit more.
I wonder what's
Though,
the ban here. Kinu.
okay, so we do see a Kinu ban. This is still pretty reasonable because it stops the Yowler from steamrolling into a terror and keeps a
Valash,
bit
yeah.
more tanky, and Valish, that other thing that loves Protector.
Because otherwise, for real, like, you just then switch Golder turn 1 into Kinu Madness buff. You're good.
So we do see the Naga obviously make it through bans, and yeah, that was never going to not get picked. Although, yeah, the more that I look at Kadyr's team, like you've got the Volfi in the mix there too. It's just like all trouble for Nagais.
Yeah, plus Grumper, plus Vola. I'm not thinking it's a great pick, but we'll see. I mean, he has the combo with Golder, so I can understand. And he needs an answer for Yolar too, but yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I kind of like. Yeah, see, this is what I like about Orange in this setup, because this means that he can threaten the Yowler like right until the end. So Doiko's forced into a situation where he either, picks. Okay, so that kind of confirms the fact that he had to pick Madness buff Nagais there rather than later on. Otherwise, he would be running the risk of not having a way to answer Yowler in draft.
I can still last pick it, but I don't know if he's gonna pick it. Kino's a good option too. Well, actually, just because of Valash, I would still pick Yolar. Even if you already have Volfi, but...
The Volfi is good against Valash, but the problem is, like, you gotta deal with that Golder first. Although, honestly, with the threat of a Feathergat Mud Shower, do you even keep Valash in?
To be honest, you can't afford to Madness buff if he Mud Showers Feather Gatling, you're dead.
Yeah. With that, we go into our game 2, and this looks like this particular startup could go a number of separate ways. Okay, we see that this is Camo Grumper, so it's nothing too too out of this world, which I think is actually better in this instance, because it means that now Kadir just dominates this lead. Doiko definitely has to swap. Gulder feels really rough here.
But at least we have the information now that it's not drilled, so if he had picked Golder Nagais, he would actually be in a really good spot.
Yep. And if KDR wins from here, then that's information that Exotic French can just put in the pocket. Now, the problem that I have here is nothing really wants to swap into this. Yowler, I think, is the best thing to swap into this, and even then, that's not where you want your Yowler to be.
Yeah, no, it's not a feel-good. I mean, if you read the Feather Gatling Mud Shower, you can switch to Naga, probably. But even then,
Yeah, that's playing with fire.
That's why Kino was a great ban for Kadir as well, because really, then you just switch Golder for Kino and Madness buff freely.
That's very true. It means that there's a lot less versatility on Doiko's side in terms of trying to reposition in a way that doesn't suck for at least one thing that's coming out here. Like, at this point, what? Does he just Crystal Spikes the Grumper? I think that's the best play that he has.
Maybe they are cocking it.
Actually, yeah, you could, like... Okay, this is gonna sound wild. You either boozle or lick with the Gulder, perhaps, because... Honestly, okay, no, he just swaps with the Gulder. That makes sense. As the Fire Koish comes out instead. Any Madness
so
buff?
he knows his survives then.
This is bold. So the snare takes out Vola's item, whatever it was, and the Mud Shower goes down, bringing it down to 0.9%. Okay, knowing you live that is great, but wow, that was a risk and a half.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, now it's like a forced switch, because, I mean, he can do anything. Valorant is quicker.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, you have to respect the HKS that's coming out. Although I don't think... Yeah, no, I think you still want HKS there, otherwise you're risking a Spikes.
I mean, yeah, HKS is the only thing going quicker than Spike, as we saw Madness buff being quicker than his Feather Gatling, so it's an aerobic with no speed.
Then yeah, no, you have to respect that. This probably means... Okay, Nagais definitely cannot swap into that. Leaving it to probably Yowler to sponge it, which would then keep a Synergy Master Ketsa for the Valorant.
Yeah, and if they read that switch and don't attack Yola and attack the Koish would be one shot from a double in. But at the same time, Yola is then free. And you still have the Ketsa going on into Valorant.
This is looking like a more aggressive Grumper from what we've seen so far. Like, okay, it's been one turn, but this isn't looking like a double-edged Grumper team, meaning that we have the threat of an Electric Storm here, which I think is much safer as a move for Grumper here.
Yeah. I mean, the only Grumpers not running Electric Storm are Grumpers like mine that are basically a second Kinu.
Yep. Which, hey, it works out, but the trade-off is you lose your spread. In here, I think that the Electric Storm means that, you know, you're scaring the, like, you know, you can now threaten a Nox Bomb on the Koish as well. So it seems reasonable as a combination move here. So the Yaller definitely comes in. It's the best thing for taking these hits, as we discussed. And the Ketsa goes down on the Valorant, bringing it down to 43%. That's pretty nice. We see the Plume instead. And the Electric Storm. Will this combination actually take out the Koish? It does successfully take out the Koish.
But this was still like a big raid, because if Valaj had C-Spike, the Valorant would just die.
You're very right. This also does mean that Valorant was able to preserve its HKS, which is definitely favorable for it. So I don't think it's that hard to say at this point that K-Deer is in a very dominating position this game.
Oh, he definitely has the momentum, yeah.
Like, obviously, there's stuff Doiko can do to come back here, but it's looking very tough. Like, the current Tems that are out are the best Tems to stop Nagais from running away with this field. And as we discussed, Mix and Volfi in the back are still really nasty for it to try to take the game back with. So leaving Nagais in the back does not feel as comfortable here. But in the meantime, you have to try to get health back onto this Valish somehow. And you've got two spreads that are just desperate for it to come in.
I wonder if Nagais is not just in a good spot to bring him here, because then he has the pressure to like just Oshidashi and Beta the Grumper and kill it, probably.
He's going for Guldur instead. I'm assuming that that's also like, okay, this depends on the SVs that Doiko has on his Naga. I don't know what he runs. There are a number of different speeds at the moment. Actually, no, I think they're all undersped by 39 speed Grumper. That's right.
The thing is, like, when you see the damage that Yolar took from a Toxic Plume plus Electric Storm, if he doubles into Yolar, he's dead before doing any move.
Yeah, that's deeply concerning. The problem is at this point, I feel like Doiko is just trying to whittle down this front line, and he hasn't really had the opportunity to do so. Like, Guldur primarily doing its damage via status has been pretty agonizing here. It's just felt so dead in the face of Grumper Vola. The Hyperkinetic Strike goes down, bringing Yaller down like almost to a quarter of its hit points.
Yep,
and the 2 strike is enough. That's a rip. So we are going to see the big lick go down. Is that going to take out the Vola from here? No. It's still at 12.5, just vibing. It's overexerted, so it can't do things this turn, meaning that maybe Nagais can exist. Yeah, no, this is Madness buff.
I mean, you know, it's not drill neither, so you can just Madness buff Bamboozle and then next turn kill, but yeah.
Well, okay, if we expect the Fury next turn, then Volfi just swaps in easy.
Sure thing.
And Volfi can take one tank from what appears to be a no attack invested Guldur, and then just plague into the Nagais, which still hurts. We don't. Okay, if I recall correctly, this is a double screen Nagais.
Yeah. If I remember well, yeah.
Then that definitely like prefers to deal with Volfi. Still though, we immediately see the mix pop in. So that means that we also have a Psy-Surge threatened here, which will break the Boozle before Nagais gets everything else down. But actually, we see the Boozle already broken thanks to an E-Storm. Yeah. But the overexertion is actually kind of bad for Grumper here. Like, I feel like you still wanted that pressure again next turn. I'm not sure. Okay, due to the speed tiering of Mix, like that I think is going to decide a lot here. Like one prio off of Mix is not necessarily going to underspeed a Bamboozle here, will it?
No, I think this is just gonna be like a Wolfie switch for him now. For the Grumper. And just pressuring the Naga, but Bamboozle.
Yeah, this is an awkward one because okay, one of the things I like about having both Mix and Wolfie on your team is that it does mean that once Mix is in Puppet Master range, you can just swap Wolfie into it. But in here, I do think that it's definitely better for it to get into the Grumper spot. But if we see a Nagai's Fury from there, then sure, if the Mix lives that, which I don't know whether it does. We know nothing about this Mix spread. Then that could help here, but...
I mean, we know Grumper is a 50 SV, so it's not gonna get a chance against Nagais neither.
This is true. It did not outspeed right there. So, yep, it's 50 SV. Definitely feels like a bad setup for Yowler. But if Kadir can take down this Nagais, then, you know, he's got Yowler on the back to deal with Valish. Not that it's going to take much to deal with Valish. Although, is this where Doiko swaps Guldur out for the Valish to try to get health back on it on a predicted double kill? Like, that's greedy, but that is an option open to him here.
I think that's too greedy, because if he switches now Grumper for Wolfie, there's no way you kill Mix with Nagai's Fury, and if he... I mean, he's probably not gonna attack Guldur spot, but what do you do then under the Seed Aura with a Valish?
If you have Major Slash, you can click that. Clinch?
Clinch, yeah.
It's a rough one. Okay, so the Wolfie swap that we all expected happens. And the Bamboozle does go down. We do see Nagai stay in as the Psysurge goes down instead onto the Wolfie spot.
Yeah,
predicting the Wolfie swap.
Because, that one was really obvious.
Makes perfect sense. Crystal Spikes comes out, saving the prio there, which is kind of nice. And also, the better thing that's happening with Kadir here is, you know, you're slowly whittling down the Guldur stamina. It's something, right? I don't like saying that that's a silver lining here, but you got to take what you can get. This is kind of troublesome for Kadir to actually break through.
Yeah, because now we know that Wolfie dies from a beta burst as well, so he can just Bamboozle again and kill the Wolfie. When that's done, then your play could be something, like you say, it's switch Guldur into Valish when he has no more stamina, do a Nagai's Fury, and just hope you kill something.
That's more reasonable from there. If that was an anaerobic Vala, I would feel better about Kadir's chances here, but it was so valuable, all of the work that it did as aerobic, so I can't really say that the trait did him wrong there. It's just that Nagai's was able to find an inch, and it's taking a mile.
Yeah, let's see, because if I'm Kadir, I don't think I let my Wolfie die for nothing there.
No, what I think is you probably could, like, this is once again why I like the being able to swap between Mix and Wolfie. It looks like we do, in fact, see it stay in, though, as we're just going to see a Fury instead.
Oh god, this is way too... This was way too risky.
Yeah, I'm kind of astonished that this happened. So the play goes down, and the Crystal Spikes. Is this going to be enough to take down this Nagais? It is!
It is, yeah. This is game.
Okay, in fairness, this is a classic Ronin play, which is doubling down in a tight situation and like trusting on your aggro to save the day. At this point, you know, you swap Mix out for Yowler and you just win, right?
Yeah, there's no way Doiko can win from there.
Pretty good. Now, at this point, what, of course, Exotic French has scoutable from here is the trait of the Valorant, if not the item, because it got snared, and the gear on all the rest of them. We could see the Grumper come out instead of the Yowler, just in order to preserve the mystery of what item is on Yowler, but we'll have to see how that goes. We actually are probably... So it looks like we may even be seeing a double swap here. The only thing I do not advocate is that Mix staying in.
I mean, Mix died from Poison Tick, so there's no way... I mean, no reason to switch it.
Oh, okay. The thing that I forgot here is that there's no way for the mix to actually die that turn because Puppet Master. I kind of did a brain fart on that. I just expected Valish to target it and get a scav off of it dying.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That was a complete brain fart on my part because I was like, oh yeah, no, why not just Crystal Spikes the Valish that's about to die? Makes much more sense. Yeah, with only a Goulder left, this is looking like a GG pretty clearly. 4-1, not much for me to say there. The Feathergat's gonna knock it right down as we do. Yeah, okay, so that was a Coat Goulder all this time.
Yep, GG, Kadir.
As we is into a 1-1. This is once again something that's not too unfamiliar in Club War settings. Like watching it go back and forth like this tends to happen for a bit in the early stages.
For sure. It was really well played. I mean, Doiko tried to make the read there with the Wolfie switch, but it was so risky when his only chance was killing the Wolfie there on that spot. But yeah, maybe he expected to kill Mix with Toxic Ink and Naga Fury, but yeah.
No, it was like there were some really hard reads to try to make inside that game, and Exotic French had a lot on their plate trying to bring it back. From there, they did a very good job in the mid game, like chasing things out with the Naga Golder combo, but keeping that pressure was tough. And the misread for the Fury there really kind of decided the game, as you say.
Yep. Sorry, I was writing at the same time for the next
Absolutely
opponent.
no worry. And with that, once again, this means that Doiko is eliminated on Exotic French's side. So this means that Vida Sage and Doiko are out, but we still have 4 players for each. We know that Kadir is one of them on Ronin's side. We don't know any of Exotic's other players, though, and we do know they have quite the roster these days.
Well, I have both players. It will be Rishi against Fulek. Hype to see
boy.
that.
Oh, this is going to be an exciting one. I can always count on both Fulek and Rishi to bring like unexpectedly aggressive compositions, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you for the follow, Wolflink. Sorry, I had to read.
fantastic. Welcome to the stream, Wolflink. So with this, so Fulek, for those who aren't aware, regularly runs some pretty high speed, pretty aggressive threats. His Barnshee gives me night terrors. I swear, it's just a spooky boy. In the meantime, Rishi has been testing out a variety of different compositions at the moment, but I think one of the things I'm most pleased about is the way that he's trying to work with both toxic aggression and like support size munch. Those are 2 things I've seen out of him recently.
So yeah, Exotic will be inviting because they lost the last match, taking of course advantage of that. Even if we saw like Kadir didn't need that.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely something they have in the pocket for the next time that they lose, I guess. Is still being able to keep that orange even for that, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and there we go, guys, jumping into the third match. 1-1 at the moment for Ronin and EXO. Who will take the second win, Ishir or Fulek?
Honestly, it's looking like a close one. Looking at these teams, they're both filled with spooky threats. Oh, this is the other spice Rishi brings these days. His hand fan Tukai is kind of a frightening thing.
Yeah, I think Tukai is really underrated. He gives such a high coverage. He's just a good time. People, I think, underestimate it because it's still weak to toxic, but at the same time, you do a tornado into them, they don't like it at all. Like,
I think the main thing that people made the judgment for with Tukai that kind of kept it under the radar for so long is just because people looked at it and saw, oh, cool, it's worse Whiplump, forgetting the degree of like sort of momentum is different for Tukai than it is for Whiplump in a lot of ways. Like Whiplump needs hold to function.
yeah, Windburst is a move.
Yeah, Windburst is a move, and it's a real good move for turn 1, since the special attack of Tukai is pretty dang respectable, especially with Handfan. So we see the Vola ban on Rishi's side makes sense given how many Toxics he's running, although he does have tools for it. Mashuk hates Vola with a passion, so do a lot of the others. He goes Mix Volfi for his first, and the Nagai's is banned for him, so this all checks out so far.
Thank you for the Monka S combo, because I was asking myself the same thing.
Yeah, we got some fun little comments in chat right there. Yeah, honestly, I really enjoy the mixed Volfi. Okay, at least having both of them available is really strong, as I've said before, but also them as an opener is pretty strong as well. Like,
yeah, Wolfie was such an amazing pick for Ishir, because when you look at Fulek's team, I mean, of course he has some melee moves, but Seismanch doesn't like Wolfie at all.
oh god,
It's completely walls Valash. It's just a good pick.
the two melees that Fulek is running are not the ones that have an easy matchup into Volfi. Gallus and like Gallus is a very 50-50 one. Like it can work, but then also really cannot under the wrong circumstance. It depends very much on the speed of the Volfi and the speed of the Gallus.
Thank you for the kind message, you trolls.
Oh man, I'm gonna have fun trying to read that. So, and speaking of which, with that, like we have what could very well be a Mashuk. Like, okay, looking at this team, I don't see how that isn't a turbo Mashuk. This looks like a team with 2 speeds that it can run here with the Decidora and then like a lot of wins for turbo pressure. And Fulek notices that and bans that right out, especially after the Yaller got banned.
Yeah, everything is physical except Valash, so you really don't like Machuk. Not at all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Especially if Valash is your only special pressure. Okay, he has the Barnshi, though. Like, I get that's asking a lot out of Barnshi when Mix exists, but there's a lot of Tems on Rishi's side that just don't like Barnshi whatsoever.
Amazing, Tiki.
Oh man, there we go. We've got the Tiki Book copy pastas out once again as our last is the Tukai on Rishi's side. A man of the people, not afraid to pick Tems that a lot of people discredit and make him work. Sign of a good player. So with this, as we go into our third match, to echo your first question here, who is going to take the lead? Honestly, despite this being a spooky opener for Fulek, if he can take the lead here, he can basically just press.
What I'm really scared, there's like, if a bunch does like to be quicker than Koish, so I don't know their speeds, but let's say bunch is not quicker than the Koish, then something like energy manipulation, Ketsa, into mix just kills it. Probably. I don't know his TVs, but it's not a tanky one.
If I recall correctly, the Rishi runs self-harm mix, so we'll see very quickly. So we do see Barnshi swap, which is more what I was expecting here, because you want the synergy on your Ketsa, one can assume. Mix bounces before any of that's even a concern as Tukai hits the board. Actually, like, quite a good thing here. Oh, especially with the chamomile into...
Nice read.
Yeah, no, doing that much damage immediately to Volfi feels great, bringing it down to under 30% right there.
Especially...
So Bang Bang still trapped, but it's just good situation to have your Koishin.
I mean, that's basically a free madness buff, because you can kill Wolfie before he does Vortex all the time.
You're still staring a tornado in the face. I think that the Calibus swaps in here to eat the Kets off of Fire Koish because it kind of has to. Otherwise, you're basically just losing Volfi for no reason, and Volfi is still pretty reasonable, even into Madness buffed Valash, right?
Sure thing. He can't kill it, even with 29% and a Madness buff, so...
So yeah, we see the Calibus swap here, which is there solely to eat the Tukai. It can also potentially strangle Rambo afterwards, but that's really going to depend on what winds up happening from this. So we do see the Tornado come out, trying to get some early damage on that before everything else happens. And that still brings it down to 51%, so that's not a very happy-looking Valash.
But at the same time, Tukai has no prior move anymore.
Oh yeah, like I can't argue with that, but the other thing I would argue here is that Valorand or Volfi can come in on the Tukai spot. Sure, you can cover that, but I feel like you have to respect the pressure that Calibus can exert from this point. One toxic ink onto Rambo and the sucker's dead.
I mean, my thing is like, if you get a C-Spike into Tukai's spot, whatever comes there, if Tukai switches at least, dies. So, you probably don't even switch. Huh.
Does the mix die from Aketsa?
It depends on his TVs. I don't know his item neither, if it's Strangevest or not, but gets a Synergy Master. If you're not like Strangevest or Kalget to resist it, you die.
This is very true. It's one of the harder things for mixes to deal with. And okay, if Rishi hasn't changed his spread, then I know it can't take that. Problem is, I don't know if he's changed his spread at this point.
Me neither. I faced him a lot of times, but don't think he changed, but we'll see. Because if he gets a Scavenger, Toxic Ink or whatever you do with Calibus, you don't really care. You survive.
Oh yeah, if you get the Scavenger off, that's fine, so long as you kill something. Like another option that Rishi has is just try to take down this.
So
Sorry, the word evaded me there for a moment. As instead, yeah, we just see Valish swap into Cerny, getting the other form of nasty aggression going. Good read from Rishi. They're not swapping at all, and instead sharp raining onto Cerny, which isn't going to do much.
If that is hurting.
And that's not Callosity either, so I'm like, even at 24%, like, okay, if it was Callosity, I'd be able to say, okay, in a pinch, it could probably revitalize and get something going here, but I don't like the odds from there.
Yeah, me neither, especially like Kosh is overexerted. It could be a good switch actually for Gallus getting his holds up, because there's nothing like really threatening him. And you do a VCL into Tukai, but if Mix comes in that spot and is not Strangevest, that's probably Puppet Master.
Yeah, the Water Cutting Lily is frightening from here. There are a number of things that Rishi can swap into for it. He could get his Valorant in to set up a Toxic Plumes with Synergy, which would suck for pretty much anything. I think Barnshi's the only thing that doesn't care about that, but it still cares about the mix that's helping enable that.
I mean, Valorant could be another option for Tukai switch, because just takes nothing and hold the moves, but... Oh, that's so risky.
Okay, so we see the mix come in and the Valish come in.
If he readed that switch, because I thought about it, it's harsh. Oh.
Oh no, and we do see a Toxic Ink go down on that.
Yeah, he readed that switch. At the same time, now Mix is in trouble.
Yep. We're back in. Okay, so this comes down to spreads once again, and I tend to advocate for fast mix because in this situation, you want to hit the Valish first. If you hit the Valish first, you're in a great spot.
Yeah, but I don't see a lot of Mix, to be honest, outspeeding Valashes because they are mostly speedy as well.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's definitely a speed war, and Valish has less to lose there, is the problem.
Yeah, especially Valashes are basically always in the 130. And some of their, of course, are way quicker than that, but Mix to go to there, you still need to invest quite a lot, actually. So, I don't see him outspeeding Valash, yeah.
No, Rishi has to blink, and he swaps in the Volfi instead to eat this Crystal Spikes. So if this is a double in on that spot, it doesn't even matter, it just eats it.
Wow.
Whoa, boy. Okay, so this means Frondo lands on Calibus, bringing it down to 48%.
That's another heal.
He's dead, but the strangle! Oh, that's such a good strangle. Okay, so despite the scavenger that has been happening onto Rambo at this point, I can't help but feel like Rishi can still push from here. Now, granted, Barnshee coming in here would be terrifying. And I think that's probably... Oh, no, we see the Gallus come out.
Valash is just gonna switch. Not taking risks there, I think.
Yeah, at this point, you've gotten it back up to 40%. I think you just keep that for the late game, right?
But I agreed with you. I mean, the only thing that I see him not bringing Barnes is because he read Mix coming, because Strangle Valash. And then I would probably have just switched Valash into Gallus to unlock the moves and have a pressure with Barnes, but still.
It's fun. So from here, I suppose my other question is, like, we need to know what trait this Valoran's running. If this, like, okay, so Anaerobic doesn't really want to set up here, but it kind of high-key has to. Like, obviously, the Nox Bomb would be terrible for damage, but it at least lets you weather the onslaught that is Madness buff Valash. The Valash, as you say, does swap, as we see the Barnshee come in. And here's the moment of truth.
Yeah,
so the fact that does resist it, and it is anaerobic. Okay. This means that it's not just dead to Barnshee, which is great, because it also means that it can just knock bomb Barnshee, and that's fine. That's a reasonable damage trade.
I don't think you can. The problem is, like, if he doubles into Valorant is that you do Crystal Bite Tornado, there's no way Valorant survives. Because no bug before.
Crystal Bite. Oh, the problem is if you swap in Mix on that, then you're consigning your Calibus to death.
I mean, depending on Barn speed, if you don't want to take risk against the Mix, you can even just Hypoxia or Wind Burst Crystal Bite, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. At this point, due to the fact that we don't have set up on the Sweatband and Arrow, that this is actually looking a bit dire for Rishi.
Yeah, it's looking a bit rough because he has now 3 answers for Mix. And Valash actually being at a good health pool with Madness buff, let's be fair. You need like to... And Crystal Spike don't kill it, Tornado doesn't kill it. Yeah.
Now that we know that Anaerobic Valorant, yes, it can live attacks from it, but it can't, like, we're not going to see a one-shot from HKS this game. Okay, so we see the Mix swap on the Calibus instead.
Yeah, just like I thought. Mina Polar Star, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome.
All right, the Hypoxia come down. This is going to get followed by the Crystal Bite.
Yep, and it did.
No, it's just down.
So, okay, no, he doesn't have Crystal Bite, so can't one-shot the Mix, but you just kill the other slot and wait next turn. It's like, I mean, it's a really harsh spot for Ishir there.
I could bring this back a bit. 2K got snared by Rambo, right? That's why we're not seeing Chamomile.
By Valash, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Basically, I wonder if you switch the Barnes to not sacrifice it and hold it, but at the same time, like, bleh.
Well, one downside is, okay, we're not going to see a slight boost in damage that we would have gotten from a synergy boosted Tsunami with Hydro, which I think is some pretty powerful spread, but it's only going to be so valuable here. The thing is nice that we get to see is a lot of pressure onto Gallus this turn. I think Fulek can just sacrifice his Fire Quaish.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, but seems he doesn't. Wow, is that bringing... Wow, and their Puppet, yeah.
Puppet Master range. Oh, the trap is sprung.
But he thought Barnes was switching. Could understand that.
Makes sense. Okay, so the Sharp Stabs lands on Tukai instead, getting some quick damage onto it as we see the Tsunami come out. Yep, to cover bases. That's still some pretty reasonable damage off of what's normally just kind of an underwhelming spread move that takes out Mix, right?
Right. I still wonder, like, why not I mean, the only way that I understand he not Hypoxia is, like, he expects to get Crystal Spike on Barnes and die before getting a move. That's why he just Tornado into that slot, but... That's still a frail mix to get, like, 34%.
Yep. Once again, the fact, like, okay, This makes sense based on what I know of the spreads that I've seen Rishi run on Mix. Like, once again, there's only so much I can say on that because Mix spreads turn at the drop of a hat. But Frail Mix does seem to be in fashion at the moment, and this is why I hate trying to fight Mix unless you do have a guaranteed spread. Like, it feels like such a gamble. Because now, what spread? Fulak doesn't have spread to deal with this Mix.
Yeah, I know, but he just needs always to kill the other slot and it's GG, so...
True. At this point, if Fulak just doesn't swap and keeps pressure onto the Tukai, then that could be something that...
Yeah. He just wants to get rid of Tornado to be able to outspeed then.
He's also looking to exhaust the Tukai. That's a reasonable play.
Good read from him.
Yeah, good stamina conservation there from Rishi. Except the Tornado still goes down onto the Barnshi. Unfortunate. Oh.
Doesn't kill. The thing is now he doesn't have Tornado, so you can even bring Valash back and just see Spike. Yeah, nothing survives.
Especially since Barnshi didn't overexert, so this means it can suicide for a Tornado onto Mix.
And get a heal. I mean, I don't think you can Tornado, because we saw Banj being quicker than Gallus. I don't know if it's quicker than Valash too, but we'll see.
We'll have to see that. If this Barnshi outspeeds them both, then first off, what even is this Barnshi at that point?
True.
But, that's like max speed suicide Barn, which is something I would expect from Fulak, but damn, that is an investment. I'm expecting, however, us to just see a Crystal Dust onto Tukai to ensure that we get the Tornado onto Mix. Or like, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
It seems better than running the risk of losing another Tem to Mix. That said, if you're expecting the Calibus swap, I'm not sure if Crystal Dust kills from there. I think you might just have to roll with it.
Yeah, no, I still think you'd always double there, even if Bunch is quicker, just to get the heal into Valash, because Valash will carry the whole game.
For sure. Like, to a certain degree, you don't really care if the Barnshi dies, because you're just getting health back on your boy the Badger. So, we see the energy manipulation actually go down faster, revealing the terrifyingly quick Mix, as the Spikes comes down, taking out Tukai,
and putting that Valash into 80%. Yeah, this is GG.
So from this point, Calibus just dies to another Crystal Spikes from Rambo.
Yeah, and how many spikes do you need to kill a Valash +2? Like,
too many, especially since you don't usually see a max special attack mix.
That's why I hate Valash and ban this shit.
I mean, it can just escalate so violently if you aren't prepared for dealing with it. Like, we saw that Rishi had the Volfi, but that first turn just meant that it was so hard for it to be used for its specific purpose. So with that, we see a Crystal Spikes go down onto the Gallus before anything else. Not even taking out the Gallus. If you can't take out the Gallus, you have no hope of taking down the Valash from there. Calibus lives with just a sliver of HP, meaning that we do get the Toxic Skin proc onto Gallus, which does not take it out. Valash just destroys this late game.
100% HP Valash. GG. Just to see how much it does. 24.5.
That was still, a reasonable percentage, all things considered, but well played to Fulak, as Rishi is eliminated, and Exotic French now has 2 points, 1 up on Ronin.
Yeah, GG to both players, and I see a lot of Funky How messages there. Let's be honest, he's one of the big Valash signatures for sure.
Oh, definitely. I still will remember that one team he made that was like 4 Sacrificers and Valash.
Oh, I didn't remember the 4 sacrifices, but
He read like Adoraboros, Shween, Kinu, and I think Taifu. No, I don't think it was 4. I think it must have been 3. Because I definitely remember the Adoraboros, and I think he did meme with Shween once for sacrifice. I don't remember it going beyond that, though.
so I already have exotic player. Let's see who will be the next one for Ronin.
Honestly, I'm interested in seeing who else they've got in their roster. I mean, we've heard rumors that Tiki Book's playing, but I'll believe that when I
Ooh, this is gonna be amazing too, guys. It will be Tiki against Hatsu.
Ah! I say it in doubt, and there it is. All right, I really want to know what Tiki Book's running.
Let's get some hype for this match as well, guys. It's 2-1 at the moment for Exotic. Let's see if it's gonna be 3-1 or 2-2.
Yeah, honestly, if Exotic French keep the momentum that they have here, then it's kind of looking grim for Ronin. But we've seen Ronin, like, you know, slide their way out of slipperier scenarios than this. Like,
I mean, for sure. And is Alola playing too? Because we know Alola did a 5-0 at some point, so...
oh yeah, no, we've got Alola as a potential for them. We have a lot. Now that said, Setsuka is no joke. I believe he's still running his Sparks team recently, and he like generally has some of the most terrifying wall-breaking special attackers that I've seen in compositions. His performance with high special attack Grandpa back in the day, like setting a lot of trends to that degree, but we'll have to see how this goes.
I actually never paid attention that he copied my outfit. Boo.
Oh no. I mean, imitation's just the best form of flattery, right? So with this, who's inviting who, just so we know?
Tiki will be inviting.
All right, that's up.
There
Tiki
we
Book
are.
appears to be restarting his client.
God, they're in match. Let's go.
Oh, cool. I'm glad to hear I've just bugged out instead. I'm not entirely sure why mine picked it up as like literally not online, but there we are. With that, let's see how both of our contestants go.
Do you have a pronostic?
Honestly, okay, as much as I love Tiki Book, it's so hard to actually bet on Tiki Book. Whereas I do know that Setsuka is generally a very consistent player. So without any other information here, while my heart says Tiki, my gut says Setsuka.
Yeah, I can understand that. Cisco being like in nearly every tournament lately, and Tiki Book, sadly, we don't see him much.
Whoa,
But it's
look
Park
at this
against
team,
Park.
though. This is something else. All right, so we're seeing Synergy Master Drakash available to Tiki alongside Sparks Momo. This is the Sparks Spider-Man point. Okay, this could be wild.
I love the solo fire. I mean the solo fire. The Drakash in there in a Spark team. If you get synergy and get a +1 on him, then on a
Oh,
Hellfire
that's gonna
boom.
nuke so many things. And we don't see a Volphy on Setsuka's side to make that like a terrible option either. Fire, of course, super effective against Iridescent Koish as well. I believe that Setsuka runs that. I don't know if he swaps it out. I don't see any reason to run Synergy Master yet on that, so I'm just assuming that that's still an Iridescent Koish.
There's already one thing that I see that I'm like wondering. So Tiki Book banning Nagais, I can understand that, but at the same time he has no crystals. So he needs to like hard go into Gazuma to kill him. Something like Ketsamu flank, I suppose. But otherwise you're letting Setsuka spark, and we know what's happening when you let Setsuka spark.
This is true. My other argument to that is, as we've seen in the minor league, for instance, you can just plague Gazuma and it will go down. Now, granted, there's a big difference between the plays that we see in minor league and the plays that we're going to be seeing here. Like, Setsuka knows how to get value out of his sparks. So, like, it's going to come down to, does Tiki think he can deal with that? And so far, it looks like his answer is yes. Setsuka's not giving him the same privilege, though.
Yeah, because I understand what you mean with Wolfie, but I don't know if he switched items, but we saw some slingshot. If it's slingshot into Wolfie, good luck killing it.
is definitely a risk. It looks like Tiki Book's, putting his cards on the table, though. So will this be the Digikoish Gazuma opener then?
Not sure. Kazuma Grandpa could be definitely a choice as well.
Yep, so there we are. We've got at least the Gazuma going on here. I mean, I can see Grandpa as, something that you can just immediately get value off of, because then that also sets you up for the turbo and the sparks for that. I mean, same goes for Barnshee. Same rules apply there. We don't have any way for Tiki to respond to that, like, immediately. I suppose, does Firequash really do enough here?
Maybe into Barnshee double up would kill.
I mean, I suppose if you're going like Plague Ketsa into that could work, but especially if we're taking what you said to heart, we're saying like, okay, this Gazuma's slingshot's just going to be Tesla prisoning the Volphy, which does still do a lot for stopping it from being quite the force that you want it to be. Does look like Tiki's going for that Firequash. So we'll see whether that winds up paying off.
The -1 speed into Volphy is really good.
I agree. I suppose the biggest problems that I've had with it have been like, I've seen a lot of games where people just throw the -speed on there and don't have an answer after that. Like, obviously, I don't expect that same thing from Setsuka, but it's still just something that lingers in the back of my mind is like, okay, just make sure you don't tunnel vision into that, my dude.
So, what could he ban? Momo.
I mean, Momo seems pretty reasonable as a ban. I mean, it's still something that you have to respect with only Barnshee there as a defense against it. And, I mean, even then, the spot removal that you can get just from Momo doing things and throwing barks around, and with the number of stamina-hungry Tems on Setsuka's team, the threat of a willpower drain is still kind of a problem as well.
Yeah, but I can understand the Koish ban, because it's really a good one into Tiki Book's team.
The thing that I like about the way that Setsuka's been using his is I think he's running like max attack for the digital stream now, which is really spooky, actually. That hits a lot of things you don't want it to hit.
Definitely. And Nagais doesn't like it neither.
Oh, yeah. No, the Barnshee and the Nagais here don't like it. It's neutral against the rest of his team. It's a wide coverage play that's pretty dangerous. And it's a physical threat on a Sparks team, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and actually Setsuka being orange lets him the choice if he needs to pick Golder or not, because Naga, but even if he picks Naga, he still has Grimper and Gazuma.
I don't see Nagais being the best pick here into 2 electrics and a potential Gulder. Like, obviously, both of these feel bad into 2 electrics, but, like, of them, I don't know. The Barnshee can still hit Grandpa and then also kills Gulder.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, that's what he goes for, and this does mean that it's more beneficial for Setsuka at this point to just pick his Grandpa. Is that going to be what he winds up going for? Now, he goes for the Gulder.
Quite surprising there, to be fair. Didn't expect
Yeah, I'm actually curious about that. But we'll see whether that's something that's happened for a reason as we go into our 4th game here. Will Tonky Bonk take this back to a 2-2, or will Setsuka give us a solid lead out of Exotic French?
So the question now is, does Barnes go down from a double?
I mean, a lot of Barnshees are very frail. Now, granted, since this is a Sparks team, we could see Setsuka, like, still be going speed HP and just put a lower investment into the Barnshee for special attack, like, relying on the Sparks to do the heavy lifting there. But I feel like that's a very risky play, because that just means that you're undershooting consistently unless you get that Sparks off.
Yeah. Because if you spark something that dies, it's really not great.
Mm-hmm.
If his slingshot, I could see then just going for the slingshot on Wolfie and do an attack with Barnes, but...
I mean, Barnshi's pretty much guaranteed to make waves here in some way or another. I like damage on either of these two Tems. Focus into the Volphy kind of feels better if I have to choose, though.
Definitely.
Just because this means that, you know, Volphy's doing a lot into so much of Setsuka's backline. It still does reasonably into Gazuma. It scares the Momo to a degree because you don't like that exhaust on a stamina-hungry Tem like that. And Grumper cannot exist on the same field as our Halloween dog here.
Yeah, especially for Grumper, because if you look at his team, Grumper is amazing for the rest of his team. I mean, of course there's Drakash, but he has other ways to deal with it.
We actually see a swap from Setsuka into Guldur. Is this solely to deal with this Fire Koish? We see... Okay, so we see the dreaded combo rear its head as the Tesla Prison goes down onto the Koish, instead getting that speed lower on it.
Whoa, that damn it.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty significant amount of damage, too. Getting it down to 63% and lowering its speed feels pretty grim. That said, at this point, though, what does Setsuka have to... Okay, so Camo Grumper eats this comfortably, right? Synergy Master, Hellfire, you know, Grumper eats that fine. So at this point, does Tiki Book just play the game of which slot is that coming into and water cannon it? Or does he, like, because I'm assuming at this point what Setsuka's doing is just threatening the Toxic Ink onto the Koish to just try to get it off of the board.
Yeah, but at the same time, he wants the Hellfire Synergy Master, I think, at this point. I could actually see some spies there from Setsuka, but I'm... Yeah, maybe I should wait.
I see you expecting like an electric storm back into this.
No. I mean, I want to wait the end of the turn to talk for that.
Oh, are you expecting like... Okay. I'm curious now. Like, there's a couple things that you could do into a Synergy Master Hellfire to make it feel better for you. Right. If that's neutrality Barnshi, that's obviously one thing that helps there, but even then, Barnshi's bulk is not good enough, in my opinion.
Okay, let's see if it's what I expected.
You think it's Pan Sunscreen on something here?
No, I think it's Spark and... Oh no, okay, it's not. Okay, then never mind.
Okay. Oh, did you think it was Spark's Toxic Gas?
Yeah, I was like, wait, if you play Guldur into a Spark...
I mean, that's one other reason why we could see that there. No, it's an energy drink onto Guldur as it still manages to get the Toxic Ink off. That's a good scout from Ronin, regardless, because now they know that the energy drink is there on Setsuka's team at least. Although, honestly, when you don't have too many other slow Tems, it makes sense to have the energy drink on Guldur.
And yeah, Crater, I tried to delete that thing, but can't do it. I don't know. I need to check a bit more. I can't delete that fucking bot writing on my chat.
Oh, well. Well, we got to see one glory Synergy Master Hellfire come out, and the Hurry Wart is out now on move flank as well, so this means that Tiki Book is threatening a cage here that would just eliminate this Gazuma. And with that Gazuma eliminated, that opens up a lot of options for Tiki Book.
I mean, Gazuma's not at a big threat there, I think.
The biggest concern that I have for Gazuma here is that it's one more thing that stops Barnshi from existing. And Barnshi, Tiki Book definitely wants for Momo, right? Like, it kind of secures you that if Setsuka is trying to rely on that late. Because Momo can definitely take care of, like, while it's awkward, it can take care of Volphy. It can definitely take care of move flank, and it can take care of Drakash.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to switch there and leave the move flank with an Anatize proc as well. Oh, anyways, Cage.
No, it was very... So we do see the Guldur try to bounce. Turbo choreography comes out, which feels rough onto Guldur.
Amazing.
And the fire tornado comes down onto Kazuma, not doing very much at all. Very thick boy. This is
Ice cube.
With ice cube, as we saw last turn with the hellfire there.
Golder is fast now. Thick boy's fast boy.
Turbo Golder. Yeah, it makes sense for the Barnshee to try to swap in there. But yeah, no, that's a lot of stamina drain for little gain in comparison. I mean, you know what? Fast Golder, let's go. If we assume this is 1 speed Golder, then that brings it up from like, okay, it's like 12 speed standardly if it's 1 speed, right? Or 19 or something like that.
Yeah, it's nothing. But by the way, I didn't pay attention.
By 2, oh boy.
I didn't pay attention, but it's a hurry ward move flank.
Yeah, I did say that a couple times as it came in.
My bad.
No worries, dude. This is one thing I like about move flank is you really have to pay attention on that first turn when it comes in. Otherwise, it will take you by surprise. This is one of the reasons why I was concerned about this very cage, because as we saw, locking the Kazuma in here, I still stand by, you know, it's threatening for a lot of what Tiki Book wants to push with. And getting rid of another thing that kills Barnshee just means that it's better for Tiki in the late game.
Yeah, especially because Kazuma can do just nothing there. So, I mean, you could -1 the move flank if there's an interest for that, but...
Yeah, like, it's pretty clear that it's not really going to care too much about that. So, yeah, this is precisely what he goes for. He gets the -1 on the move flank. It's something. Speed control helps. The base jump comes down onto Kazuma, taking it out. And we see a mud shower into the Golder. Okay.
To not overexert, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we don't get synergy out of Hellfire anymore, or Synergy Master, but we still have a lot of attacking options from Drakash, which, thanks to its iron coating, it's actually got some pretty big energy behind it there.
Yeah, this is Barnsh, yeah.
Okay, so Barnshee's out now. Gulder's obviously in kind of a tough spot, but I don't expect Gulder to do much outside of, I don't know, generally be annoying.
I mean, yeah, Gulder does really nothing there.
It's kind of just taken up a spot, which is fine, but I don't see what Tiki has to do in terms of focusing that. Volfi or Barnshee seem like reasonable swap-ins for Tiki at this instance, and he can still push with Drakash for at least a single turn.
Yeah, because if Drakash attacks, he overexerts for sure as well. Not good for the momentum.
The issue that I have here is you want to keep Drakash both on the board and with stamina because you want to threaten Grumper. You never want Grumper to feel like it can come in.
But Volfi could do the job for that.
This is true. Well, if we see a double swap here from Tiki Book, that's reasonable, I guess. We see a Beta Burst onto the Barnshee, as expected. It eats it, and then, oh, man, so this is Strange Fast Barnshee. It is not going to like this Hellfire as it goes down to 52%. That's painful.
I'm really surprised that Golder didn't switch there for Momo. I really thought it would.
Well, it's definitely better that it didn't, because
Yeah.
the combination of damage onto that Barnshee means that at 25%, it is not looking like a happy camper.
Especially because it's the only big counter to Momo, so you can get an Undermine. -1 speed move flank as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually looking very risky for Tiki. Now, War Drum move flank still packs a punch, regardless of its speed. And Goring should still do work, even at -1 speed, from what I understand of how that winds up working.
Sure. That's so for me. I think Barnge just Setsuka just beta burst into Barnge, and I would switch Golder into Grumper to have like a switch when you read a big attack.
Honestly, Grumper can now exist on this board for at least a turn, and like the thing that I like about the potential for either a Grumper or the Grumper swap I like immediately because it forces Volfi onto the board, and you kind of want to start dealing damage to that boy.
Yeah, let's see. Oh,
so we do. And we see an energy manipulation onto that spot, expecting that swap only deals 30%. So this is a fat dog. And yeah, Barnshee is down for the count. I mean, at least he did, you know, he got both value off of his Barnshee and still was able to put some pressure onto Momo. I can't help but wonder if a tornado would have just done more damage there.
Definitely would have done more damage into there. I suppose he didn't read the switch, and if it was a switch into Grumper, maybe. But yeah, I would have always Tornado there, more damage.
This does mean that the threat of Undermine comes out.
So, okay, in my opinion, he had to bring there the Wolfie, because nothing is gonna... I mean, Mouflon can't be quicker than Momo now, even with Goring. So you get the Undermine for sure.
This could be a ruse just to swap it back on there, but I feel like that's just a counter momentum play.
Yeah,
like,
that's really not
when
good.
you're behind, you can't afford to do ruses like that.
So basically, you can just beta burst to Mouflon spot and Undermine the right spot, which just always feels good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to find an out for Tiki Book right now, and it's not coming to me. Like, we could still see Wolfie come into something here, but we're not expecting spreads. That's only so meaningful. And with no threat of 3 prio out from Drakash, it's like, eh.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's quicker than Momo, what I won't expect, but yeah, we'll see. He did a really nice comeback, Tiki, and then lost a little bit of the momentum, and that costed him a lot.
The downsides of making risky plays is that if they go wrong, it sends your momentum into a downward spiral, which can be very frustrating to work with. So I'm assuming this is just to take potential. Okay, so the Goring does still outspeed Momo. The double outspeed, because this is Fat Dog, means that it does not get Undermine off. Oh man, we wrote Tiki off too soon.
Definitely.
Okay, so now this means we could see Wolfie swap this turn into the Mouflank, and that's just amazing. Even at -1 speed, it's still outsped. That's so beautiful. There have been so many games recently that have refined my thought that while it's nice having, like, you know, Stodge on your Momo, I think that you sacrifice special attack over speed for that. There have been so many different circumstances where it just gets doubled into if you don't have that speed. So the Mouflank takes one for the team, just, you know, taking hits now that it's done its job. And I guess Drakash is just sitting there.
It's still harsh, because now he can Tornado, he can Tornado the Drakash, kill it there, have a Toxic Ink into Wolfie.
He does that, he's basic, like, you know, a single Toxic Ink isn't going to do enough for Wolfie to feel bad here. And you're still threatening a Sandstorm onto Grumper next turn. You can Plague the Barnshee this turn. It dies, because it's Strange Vest.
I'm not sure it dies from Plague.
I suppose that is in question, but we are okay. We saw the Synergy Master. Okay, actually, that's a point. It was like Synergy Master, and it still only did about 52%. But
I think he needs to Sandstorm there to kill the
hold
Golem
up
before he
on Wolfie.
moves. Oh, true.
Sandstorm with Igneal this turn, though.
Wait, doesn't he? Didn't he like Plague the first?
No, he immediately swapped.
Oh yeah.
Which has put us into this position right here. So, right. Actually, no, he did Plague something at some point, didn't he? No, he does have Hold Up, you're right.
I think he has Hold Up, yeah.
I guess the Tornado comes down onto the Wolfie, which I didn't expect. It makes a... I'm not sure how much I like that, because now the Barnshee's overexerted. The Plague does come down and does KO from this percentage. And this means that Drakash is free to Mud Shower the Goulder. Setsuka throwing at the last minute. because Grumper definitely does not like this final board. Tiki Book reminding us that this win is sponsored by Alola. And yeah, no, at this point, we just see a double in on Grumper and it goes down. Tiki Book turning this into a 2-2, defying the odds, outspeeding a Momo with a -1 move flank and a Drakash that is the fastest lizard I've seen. Well played to Tiki Book.
GG. Well, your heart was right.
No, sometimes it's just gotta trust in the heart of the Tem cards, I guess. I genuinely, had more. Okay, one thing I will say there is I'm still kind of curious as to the Gulder pick. I'm not entirely sure what Gulder did there that Grandpa wouldn't have done better.
Yeah, I mean, definitely agreed on that. I don't know why he picked Gulder, but he had his reasons, I suppose.
Yep. This also did, I suppose, get some good scouts out on Tiki Book's team. We saw a lot of his spice that game, so that intel will serve Exotic French well as we move into our 5th game. This is staying more even than I expected it to be. Like, this isn't meaning to discredit either team. It's just that I know that, the moment Ronin or Exotic French get a foot in the door, they push.
Yeah, but at least we have a nice show match too.
Oh, for sure. This is what you hope for. It's good stuff. And with that, okay, so how do you beat the showmanship of Tiki Book in a game? Who else do we have to look forward to? I mean, obviously the threat. Like, I've heard Zuxo has returned. Do you know if Kanzaki or any of your other new boys in Exotic French have joined up on your side of the roster, or is that something we have to wonder about until we see their charming names?
So it will be K-Deer again for Ronin against Classics. Classics will be inviting this one.
Fantastic.
Okay, just righted it to them.
Well, that tells us more. Classics, definitely an all-rounder in Exotic French. I've seen him play a variety of different teams at different times.
Yeah, he did like a little break as well from Temtem and came back like a month ago, something like that. Let's go into match number 5. Who will
there we go.
have the 3rd win first, Ronin or Exotic?
Well, okay, so we already know some things about K-Deer's lineup. It's definitely more of a mid-range composition that threatens in a lot of different ways. Like, it does look like we have the potential of a late Torment threat here, incidentally. Okay, I'm pretty sure he ran Sweatband Mix. We don't see handcuffs on that, so it's likely handcuffs Volphy into late Torment if that is a possibility on there. In the meantime, Classics is running his favorite sauce. There it is. Anahir itself.
The monster. But against double airs, maybe not.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things on K-Deer's side that I don't think you want to see with Anahir, but if we see the right draft, it could show itself. It's still definitely a very valuable tool against Naga Gulder. It performs very well into that particular board.
Yeah, if he can get rid of Wolfie and Hair, still definitely not a bad pick.
I mean, Yowler's still kind of a threat from there, but you can pair that with things to make it more manageable. Like, Classics has this Barnshee that could very well get first picked here. That would be kind of frustrating for K-Deer to deal with, actually. He doesn't have too many tools against that. He's got Mix.
I mean, Evan Yolar, if he pairs Anahir with Naga, it's harsh for Yolar.
It's definitely kind of I forgot. Yeah, Classics does have the Nagais as well. I definitely feel like K-Deer has to first pick Mix here in order to dissuade a lot of these mentals.
We see a
Like,
first pick Vola. Can understand it's like just neutral into everything there.
yeah, it's a very safe first pick that combos well into a number of separate second picks. Like we could see Vola move flank very easily here. Vola Raikan also pretty reasonable.
Let's see how Kadir answers that.
I mean, I still feel like Volfi mix feels very strong into classics. If you first pick those two things, since he banned the Grumper, then that puts him at an immediate disadvantage. There's the Volfi,
He
which
needs to pick Wolfie, yeah.
and
Definitely.
Kinu. Okay, that's still a mental threat, but I don't. Obviously, the reason why I would have liked to see the mix there is because that scares away one of the mentals that Classics is gonna want to pick into this team.
I'm not sure he has to pick the mental now. You mostly just pick a double threat, I suppose, there. To kill. I mean, once Wolfie is dead, Classics is in a good spot.
In that case, then if Classics feels like he can take advantage of this lead, then you bring the Raikan. The problem is this is a +1 buff onto a Volfi. That's a death sentence for Raikan in the wrong circumstance. Like,
yeah.
I know a lot of people pick Raikan into these kinds of fields, but I feel like that's just bait.
I mean, that has to scare the Kino away too.
Oh yeah, no, it has to scare the Kino away, but then it swaps into what? Volarend? Yowler?
I'm curious because it depends as well on the Raikan speed, but I don't see like a Raikan outspeeding Wolfie does Vortex.
Yeah, that's my concern. Unless you're getting like an immediate prideful buff, which, yeah, you know what? If you get that, sure, you can ball out of control, and that's very intimidating. But it's such a threading of the needle for that lead. Like, I've seen a lot of people walk in with the expectation that they can double into Volfi and it dies, and then it doesn't, and this one has a Kinu buff. I'm just sort of nervous there. So we do see Anna here as the third pick out of Classics after we see the Barnshee get banned and a Gulder ban from Classics onto Kadir. Not what I expected out of that, but okay. Because this means, like, you know, Yowler's still kind of spooky into this.
I can understand the Bunch ban because it's definitely annoying for his Yolar, but at the same time, Nagais is still there, so he has to ban Golder to be able to pick his Nagais a bit more freely.
Okay, you know what? That does make sense. Because obviously Gulder is just very painful into it. And we see a mix instead of the Yowler. That's an interesting choice, but I suppose, you know, if you rely... Okay, if we're expecting the Anna here to go down to either Volfi or the pressure from Nagais, that could be interesting. Either way, spicy draft out of Classics and Kadir as we go into our 5th game.
Yeah, I'm still, like you, wondering about the Yolar because it was another answer to Anna here. I mean, Nagais can be, of course, with Fury, but Anna here will always move first and Crystal Bite. He doesn't like it.
Yep. With Heat Up and War Drum, that is a very spooky calc for Mix to try to deal with. And we have seen a lot of Ronin's mixes do run on the fast and squishy side. So if we're hoping for an opportunistic swap in here, that's one thing. But in the meantime, Robin Fenty here has spread for days. Meteor Swarm and Mineral Hail means that it's very hard for Mix to stay safe. So it all comes down to this Volfi. I'm expecting it to take heat this turn. Like, we could be seeing... Okay, while the Kinu is threatened and obviously has to swap, but what I think we expect is the double up here. I honestly think Kadir is better off swapping in Nagais this turn on the Kinu spot.
Oh, not sure. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, because he can still switch back to Wolfie.
Yeah. So we see the double in onto Volfi. I'm assuming this is the Ket's onto that. The Plague traps in Raikan, meaning that it's definitely going to be eating a Fury, and depending on the damage that Volfi takes, it can bounce here if it wants to. Oh yeah, no, it's perfectly comfortable. And since this is an Arrow Volarend, it's not going to like anything that's coming onto this board either. I don't think Nagais' Freedom Madness buff here. Actually, is it?
I think it is, to be fair.
Oh
But
no! In which case, Kadir definitely is going to be taking that opportunity. If there's one thing I have confidence in the Ronin 5 head, is that they are going to be taking advantage of the boards where they can get a madness buff off.
so I could see a madness buff there from Naga, but then Wilfie would have to switch because Wilfie could kill Raiken, but again, Raiken will Ketsa before the Dust Vortex. And then when we see the damage from Feather Gatling, so if he Ketsa Hyper, Wilfie is dead.
Yeah.
But it's like a trade then. But at the same time, he can't afford it because if he loses Wolfie, then he can just bring Grumper as well and get a counter for Naga.
That's why I think that Volfi. Okay, to bounce off of what you're saying here, I do agree. He needs to keep this Volfi alive, meaning that it's probably going to bounce this turn because, as we saw, we're under Decidora. It's going to go last. Right. So instead, we do not see that. We see the Nagai's Fury instead of a Madness buff, which does take down this Raiken summarily. And what, we're plaguing into the Valorend? Nice. Okay. With that, we see another Feather Gatling into Volfi, bringing it down to under 40%. But honestly, this is looking really good for Kadir in this early game, because now you're free to Psy-Surge into this Valorend.
And kill it,
Yeah.
I agree. Oh, okay, that's a good answer.
Oh, yeah, okay, I like this. So we could see a mix swap onto the Volfi, or alternately just a Kinu to get more bulk onto Nagai's. I'm not sure I like that play personally, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure neither because you're not putting pressure into Naga as well. Naga can just madness buff there, but bows can, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. We could see a full mirror board, actually. If I recall correctly, Kadir, I actually don't think he got to play as Valorant last game.
No, but seeing his team, it's probably aerobic, but... Yeah, this is still a really hard spot for Classics.
I feel like there's definitely a potential for him to come out on top on this turn. This feels like one of those turns where if it goes wrong for Kadir, Glazix can just power through from this point. So we do see Volfi bounce, keeping itself ready for when Anna here shows itself. We do see the mix come in to pressure Nagai's. We see the Hyperkinetic Strike. Is that going to be enough to take Mix into Puppet Master range? It is not. It's 4% over.
That's amazing.
And the Psy-Surge comes down into Valorend. Is this expecting a swap? No, it's just to take out the Valorend before it can, you know, throw more collateral damage onto the table.
Okay, but this is
good, but now you've got a Madness buff Nagai's to deal with.
Yeah, and he can just bring Anna here and hit up.
Right, so one thing I like from this is the fact that, right, so Fury still does good things here. I think it's honestly your best bet still against Mix, I think, from here. I don't know how much I like trying to just beta burst Mix.
I mean, it will kill, but...
Yeah. Thing is,
you could
if
really
he beta
read
bursts,
a Volfi there.
then Volfi can't come in.
At the same time, Nagai's has no Psy-Surge anymore for Kadir, and we know Classics Naga is gonna be first one to move.
This is true. Okay, this does come down to what speeds both of these Nagas are again. However, the Crystal Spikes comes out first because we're not in Decidora, really. So Fury's gonna come out and is gonna take out the Mix because obviously it does. But then we have the opposing Fury. How much is this gonna do to Robin Fenty? My question. That's a very sizable percentage right there, and the guy's is looking very low. Granted, Kadir does not have the best push potential in the back, but if he's just hoping for this board to go down so he can bring Kinu Volfi back out again and try to stall out the late game, that's an interesting potential. At which point we could see Valorant come in this turn, and then, you know, that's kind of spooky.
I think Wolf is just really good at this point. The problem is, like, he doesn't have enough Tems to switch around. classics. I mean, because
Right.
both Nagais being there is so annoying for him. Wolf is so free here. He can just plague what Nagai spot, even if Grumper
You're
comes.
right. I keep seeing a guys and an Hannah here on this board and assuming it could just run through this field, but the problem is it can't. And neither of these Nagaises are fast enough to do anything before this Volphy. And since it has hold up, it can just Dust Vortex, and nothing comes into that. I do still feel like, oh god, I still feel like you want to save the Volphy though. That's why I would have liked the Valorant there, because the Valorant still deals damage to Robin Fenty without like leaving itself completely exposed. Because at this point, like if we see a swap to Grumper to eat the Dust Vortex, still hates it, but it eats it. And then Beta Burst into Nagai's, like then Nagai's dies because the other Nagai's kills it, probably, right? I don't think it overexerted from the last one.
Yeah, no.
Then that means that we see what? A Beta Burst into Nagai's, and then after the other... Okay, we actually see Nagai's swap. So the Grumper goes into that spot. This is not what I expected.
I mean, Plague on Nagai's spot was good too, so, but yeah.
So yeah, the Dust Vortex just takes out Anna here at this point, and I don't see how Classics can possibly return from this. This is just way too far behind. Because yeah, no, the sheer power of Nagai's just insisting to be on the board, messing with the turn order once again, has been so valuable for K-Deer. As now that Anna here doesn't exist, we can just go right back to Kinu Volphy, and this is just so aggravating for Classics.
Oh.
At this point, though, this is more valuable information for spreads, if nothing else. But this Kinu's looking a little frail. Normally, I expect them to weather Thunderstrikes a bit more comfortably than that. It's that or Classics is just running a very high special attack Grumper.
I wonder why he didn't kill Nagais and just let Grumper alive, because then just next turn was dead.
Question. Because this does mean that the Mud Shower can come down on Volphy and just take it out, as we saw. Probably a misplay. Kinu keeps on ticking, though, as it's going to wind up just taking down this Grumper. J. Mars says he did it for the tension. Well, that's good to know. Oh, man. This has still been a bunch of really tense games. Like, K-Deer took initiative, certainly from, like, sort of about around the middle, keeping the guys in to keep the Decidora in such a way as to be better for him. But, honestly, Classics could have just grabbed this with, like, slightly different reads of this game. Like, just goes to show you how balanced on a razor's edge some of these games can be.
I mean, yeah, that was well played from K-Deer. No look for Classics facing someone with double Earth as well. Because
no,
otherwise, I'm not here, yeah.
You don't want to see that.
G
Either way,
G.
well played to both of our contestants. Congratulations as always, Classics. I love seeing your team. And well played to K-Deer once again. Definitely a cornerstone of the success of Ronin so far. Won both of the games he's been in. And that's 3-2 for Ronin now. Ron's on top.
Yeah. K-Deer doing an awesome job as well. GG. Let's see who will be the next players.
We've got a lot of fun things to expect. Like, obviously, I've described the wealth of a roster that you folks at Exotic French have. Like, I could see Neko Blocky coming in. I believe we still have Shizenix as well. We've got Bennett or Kanzaki, all sorts of fiery ones there.
I think I know the lineup for EXO, but of course not gonna talk about it.
Oh, of course not. I'm just talking about how many different options are potentially available. Like what else do we have? Like on Ronin's side, we still have Buff Duck. We could see Buff Duck. We could see Alola. All sorts of spicy picks are available on that side. I'm trying to think of other Ronin players we haven't seen in a while. Like obviously, there's the threat of Funky How, but
So the next players will be Fulek against Little Asia.
Little Asia himself, Ricky 10, is gracing our presence. Okay, I'm excited to see what he's running these days.
I mean, I faced him in Plus Tourney in semifinals yesterday. He's still with his all team.
Okay. Since some of what I've seen him run lately hasn't been as fast as his old teams have talked about. Or like been in comparison, I suppose, the better grammar for that. But now I'm excited to see if, as you say, he's like, returned to his roots and is just gonna outspeed the competition.
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing the same team as yesterday, sure thing.
Wow, it's gonna be spicy. Cool. Well,
Why is PogChamp a grandma? Yeah, good question.
some of these PogChamps are just coming out of left field. I'm like, okay, that's the new one, I guess.
He's becoming uglier and uglier.
I just stuck with Komodo hype. It just feels good. Why are you a grandma? Okay. Well, best of luck to both of our contestants here. We're guaranteed a cutthroat game, and we see a Mashuk. I love seeing Mashuk into this. Like if you look at Fulek's team, that Mashuk just looks like it's automatically just banned.
I mean, he has double win, but yeah, that's the only thing that can do something against it, so it feels bad, especially if one is banned.
Yeah, I mean, Aerovola is a tool against it, but that's a vulnerable tool, and if that, like, okay, if we see like a mixed Shook lead here, then that's just really troublesome for Fulek to try to deal with. Yeah, we see a mix ban. That makes sense. Mix is a lot to try to deal with alongside the other threats that Little Asia has here. I feel like if it was just mix in a vacuum, Fulek could deal, but there's just so much that you got to take into account here. And we see the Barnshee ban, which also makes sense. I mean, it's just supporting that Mashuk, which looks to be so valuable here.
Especially with mixed bans. Like, when I faced Little Asia, first time, not yesterday, I didn't ban his mix, and after that I understood you need to ban it. It's just so annoying when you don't have answers.
Is it that frightening?
I mean, my comp having not much damage, it's harsh to deal with a mix.
Yeah, that's fair. One other thing we haven't actually talked about here is that we do have a monkey battle, as people are saying. We do have a Seismunch on either side and good support for it on either side. I feel like Fulex is a bit more of a flex monk, but it's like Little Asia is rocking the classic 3 melees comp.
Yeah, the double synergy against only one synergy. But Yolar isn't one of those, and he didn't pick Barnge, so it could be a Barnge ban next one.
Barnge ban seems reasonable here.
At the same time, 2 crystals? Maybe not.
Like, honestly, since Mashuk is open, I feel like it's better for Fulek to ban the Mashuk, because that's still going to put in a really frustrating amount of work into a lot of the rest of his lineup. Like, it still has, like, even if we see the Barnshee ban here, like, if we're assuming that it's got the turbo that a lot of Mashuks have, then we've already seen from other games what one turbo can do even without synergy. Unless it's into a Goulder, but...
Ooh. We see some spies.
Okay, this is our second Volavalish, I think, that we've seen.
It's 3-2 for Ronin at the moment, Pixel.
Yeah, Ronin took the lead in their last game with quite an astonishing performance from K-Deer, taking out Classics.
We see a Gallus ban. Is this gonna be Barnge then?
I feel like you kind of have to react to that. But no, we see a Volphy out instead.
Yeah, I still wonder.
That's to preserve the Valish, then that's what? Like, it's just inviting, saying, play monkey. Yes, monkey.
So Ronin has Sticky Book, K-Deer, and Little Asia at the moment left.
Yes.
And Exotic has Fulak and someone else.
One unidentified player. Yeah, the Mashuk monkey combo here looks very frightening now that there isn't a Barnshee, and to an extent, the support that we see from Barnshee here does help, but I think that if Fulak's able to get this Valish to pop off, then that's obviously a risky proposition. I feel like Firecoish feels very good here. The question is, what's its partner? I guess it's Cerneef. I feel like if you picked Cerneef here, then Firecoish is kind of a no-brainer.
But yeah. So no Yolar.
In the face of a Mashuk, I feel like that's reasonable because Tenderness just completely down so much. And Barnshee, the combination of those. And with that, we get into our 6th game. Will Exotic French bring it back once again to a 3 of and keep the series tense? Or will Ronin start to pop off here even more? Like, if we look at our...
Rorzy.
Everyone's going to make pot shots at you for this, my man. Oh, man. So, looking at this turn 1, right, the Valorant feels like it's... Okay. The Calibus on Little Asia's side looks like it could be drawing fire here. Like a Feathergat into that feels great. It depends on, like, if this is Doppel out of Fulak, then yeah, sure, it targets the Valorant. But if it's Hand Fan or something like that, or Sweatband, then it makes more sense for it to go after the Calibus and get some early damage on it. Because we've seen how Calibus makes Valish's life a hell before it sets up before.
I mean, this is still always a Madness buff. Oh, he switched.
Hey, he just gets the Mashuk in. A double swap. Okay, I can't say that I expected this in the face of a Valish, but you know what? Setting up an immediate wreck is one way to dissuade a Madness buff, I suppose, after it's set off. But doesn't this mean that Fulak's just got this in the back now?
Yeah, this is really harsh because this is Cage Rack and no more Valash. But at the same time, you lose Machuk.
The Cage Rack. I completely forgot.
But it's like a trade then, Valash for Machuk.
Honestly, I think that that's one of the better things you could trade Mashuk for here. Because this means...
I'm not sure, to be fair, because, I mean, Cerneef and Koish can still deal with the monkey.
You know what? That's fair. We've got Calibus, and Calibus Barnshee likes that sort of board a little better. And this could be an Anivola that we see out of Little Asia. I don't know what he runs. Actually, you probably know what he runs.
Yeah.
Alright, so we see the HKS come down. We also saw the snare onto a Suicide Mashuk, which is really good value, incidentally. And the spikes comes down onto Monkey How, which takes it like a champ. Only 30%.
This is
under
still
30%.
a fair trade.
It's not
It
even
didn't kill!
Yeah, that's big. So from here, this means that Little Asia is basically forced to bring out Calibus here, right?
Yeah, but even then, I don't think, I'm not sure Calibus is the good thing, because if he brings Calibus and you let for free Feather Gatling, Crystal Spike into Calibus, then your Cerneef and your Firecourse feels so good. I
can't argue with that, but okay. If this is anaerobic Valorant, then that's great. Okay, it's Barnshee. Oh no. This could only be bait. Unless this is like an Alola tier big balls play. Like,
Well, there's one solution. Like, if Monkey is quick enough, he could just D-Mac.
Oh yeah, Dimmock could take it down here. We see a Plumes come out. Not what you like to see on an unbuffed Monkey. Do we see the
Oh, the dust
Crystal
synergy.
Dust comes down. Taking
Amazing
out
play. And D-Mac is not enough anymore.
Oh, this is so bad for Ricky Tan. Oh my god.
Oh my fucking god. So well played there.
Wow. In 3 turns, Fulek has turned this game on its head. Despite a really good setup into an execution of Valash. Valash just won't heckin' die.
I mean, this is really harsh for Ricky Tan there.
Yeah. No, that spiraled out of control. The minus attack on Monkey How is kind of salt in the wound at this point.
So you can even switch now. You just double switch.
Like, you don't have to pressure with Rambo here. You just keep it in the back.
I mean, Vola switches for sure. Valash, you could even, like, just do a Crystal Spike into Calabas to have, like, an easier way later. Because if Valorant is aerobic, you won't be able to attack anyways with Valash. But Valorant is a switch, 100%. But I don't know about Valash. Feels he did his job.
Valash could just... yeah, no, it's definitely done its job at this point. Like, it's taken out 2.5 Tems, basically. Well played.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, losing the Mashuk to not KOing the Valash felt so grim there, and it only got worse the next turn. The fact that the Crystal Dust and the Plumes outsped everything else on Ricky's side just hurt so bad, because I mean, you can assume that the intention there for Ricky was to dim mock the Valash and then tornado the Vola, right?
Yeah. King Kong.
So I'm assuming that the meme that comes out of this is that Fulek just outsped Ricky Tan. Like, that's a sentence right there.
Yeah, like I thought. He staged just to do a Crystal Spike.
Nope, he's done his job. Monkey How gets an oh, that's such an underwhelming uppercut, but
-1 attack, yeah.
yeah, no, it just feels so bad. Yeah, okay, so from here, the real okay, I don't know how you get back into the lead here.
Me neither. I still wonder why you bring Valorant now with no stamina. Maybe just wait a little bit more, bring another Tem for the waiting time, but yeah, just to get the speed advantage, I suppose. One feather, if it's double, just kills.
Okay, so from here, if we're expecting a Feather Cat, like, at this point, I don't think you double King Kong, because, like, I'm assuming in this instance, you try to take out Valorant so that Calabas has an easier time dealing with that. You've still got full health Fire Coish in the back, but, I mean, I guess you just kind of deal with that, except you can't because Valorant's already down. Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like, okay, where do you begin here?
You mean, where do you end?
I'm just trying to find a way for Ricky Tan to get back, and it just doesn't look like it's there. Fulek has just so solidly taken this game so far. Like, Ricky Tan sees it too, and just concedes there. Well played, Fulek, in just a dizzying performance. Pulling the rug out from under Ricky Tan by turn 2 and just carrying it onwards from there. Man, if that Valash died, we'd have been looking at a different game, but...
Oh, definitely.
Goes to show.
I mean, the idea was really good, bringing Machook with the cage and the rack, but at the same time, like, we had to think about the fact that Machook would die from a hyper, giving the heal, because it's of course quicker even with the synergy, and, like, I don't know if he made his calc, I don't know the attack he runs on Seismanch, but yeah, if you don't expect to one-shot it, that was like a really harsh ball. And then being quicker than the Then the dim mac with crystal dust and getting a hail
Oh,
from it.
yeah.
Blah.
That hurt so bad. The fact that the dim mac was undersped there was just agonizing. The synergy from Crystal Dust really came in clutch that match.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so from this, right, we know that Tiki Book is left, and we know that K Deer is left. Fulak's still around, and I'm assuming he's probably going to be coming in next if Exotic French want to keep their ace in the hole. But honestly, there's only so much I can guess.
I'm writing with them to see who will be the next. I already have like the next for Ronin. We'll see who Exotic sends.
The people demand justice. The people demand nothing less than their purest Tiki Book. We'll see him eventually, folks, no matter what.
So we got the 5th player of Exotic against Sticky Book, and the 5th player is Shizenix. So it will be Shizenix Sticky Book.
Well, there we are. Shizenix, definitely another person. Like, he's in the 5-0 club, first off, and we've seen such consistent, just aggressive plays out of him. I think the only time I've ever seen him play anything less than like full aggro or like a particularly offensive mid range is that one time he memed with a Water Koish freeze team.
Yeah,
Which,
I remember that one.
that was a rude man. That was a rude team, but it'll be fun seeing what he brings to this.
Let's wait there in a match. It's 3-3 at the moment, guys. They know how to make the show.
Yeah, honestly, with what we've seen out of Tiki Book as well, I'm expecting some big fire out of this, literally and figuratively. The Synergy Master Hellfire, if like depending on what Shizenix brings, that could be a very valuable tool.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we know Shizenix being like a hyper offensive player as well. We'll see if he did changes. So they're in, let's go!
All right, so let's see what we have out of Shizenix's team. Okay, like this isn't hyper offense. It's still very aggressive, but it's definitely that chunkier aggressive that we've seen a lot more out of Exotic lately, which is, sort of like hedging your various good combos. Like we've got just on the same team here, Kinu Valish, Crystal, like Toxic Plume Synergy for Vola, Kinu Yowler, Cerny Firekoish. We now no longer have Naga Gulder, which makes perfect sense. Tiki Book's not about to let Shizenix have that.
I feel like they all are adding Golder Nagais now into their comp to have like both options.
We saw that drift out for a bit as people teched against it, and honestly, this just feels like one of those things that's just going to wax and wane. Like we have a pretty reasonable understanding of what the counterplay to Naga Gulder is these days. The question is, do you have it on your team? Do you feel like it's necessary? At the moment, because we saw a downplay in them, it makes sense for people to slot them back on again to catch people by surprise. Question is, how ahead of the curve can you remain? So after that Naga ban, okay, so we're seeing a move flank.
Wow, I'm really surprised about that one.
Yeah, no, that's got me scratching my head a little bit there too. Hurry Wart Cage is still a very frightening thing there. So if she's as scared of that, then you know what, that's respectable. But
you let Spark, so you have to have an answer for it. I suppose he knows what he's doing and he has an answer for it. But Valash, but then Wolfie, Drakash, Firekoish.
Yeah, no, it's opening Pandora's box here on Shizenix's side. Now, granted, if he leads Firekoish CERN into this, then it's still a tall order for Tiki to stop that in its tracks, because that can just power through a Sparks lead.
Mouse slipped it on Gazuma. Yeah, I was like...
Okay, that'll be a funny one. But no, honestly, I'm expecting that to be like, yeah, in order to get this lead off, because I'm assuming that Shizenix is just going to lean heavy on that and try to power through the buffs that Tiki's trying to do. Because, if you're not attacking this lead, then it can just kill you in the face.
Actually, that is always such a scary opener for an aggressive... I mean, Cernif and Firekoish cover so much.
Doesn't this just kill Gazuma turn 1?
I mean, both. He has the choice, I think, there.
So, like, not even Firecoach feels safe into that. So, like, there is a chance that Shizenix just, presses full power on the gas and then just never puts his foot off it, which I think would give him a lot of ground here.
I don't think you spark neither, because if your spark is quicker than Wolfie, oh my god, it's a slow Wolfie first and a really quick Gazuma.
Yeah, no, I used to have Wolfie on a Sparks team to do that with, and yeah, you have to run that sucker slow, which comes with its own drawbacks. We see Drakash banned, Shizenix denying the memes of last game.
I mean, I definitely understand that, because Synergy Master, Hellfire, and Fire Tornado is just so scary.
No, it really is, especially when you're trying to lean on CERN like we're seeing him do here, and when you've got a Valish in the back that you want as a win condition. I see you there, Valish, and I see how good you are into Tiki Book's remaining options.
I mean, basically it has Wolfie and Fire Courage to still counter it, but yeah, against the 3 other ones, definitely good.
I mean, Momo's a toss-up. Momo still does a good amount into Valish if it catches it off guard.
If it's not under Madness buff, yeah.
Even if it's under Madness buff, like, okay, this is a very niche scenario, but catching an Undermine on the swap in on a misread, Valish lives it fine, but it's the minus special attack that kind of sucks.
That hurts, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And a willpower drain, if you're outspeeding the Valish somehow, that's also really painful. Like, it's not a hard counter, but it checks it a bit.
So I really wonder what Tiki... Okay, yeah, because if you pick it Naga, that was such a free golder that was good against his all-com, nearly.
Yeah, I don't think you let Goulder get that value. The Barnshee still feels like reasonable here. If we're assuming it's an aerobic Vala, then obviously we've got that as an answer for this. Barnshee does reasonably into Cernif if it's not being targeted. Like, I don't know, it feels a bit even there. But we'll see how it goes out of this draft. Things are getting down to the wire, folks. There's only so many players for both of these clubs to hide behind.
So what I'm really wondering there now is, like, whatever spot he focuses, I feel like it's a kill. Shizenix, I mean.
Okay, unless this is like a miraculously bulky Wolfie, I have to agree with you. My concern here is I think that Shizenix doesn't take this risk and just targets the Gazuma. Because if you just surgically remove that Tem, then suddenly, you've lost a lot of combo potential off of Tiki Book here. Now, granted, okay, yeah, so...
Let's see.
Yep.
Who did he focus? Wolfie.
And he went for Wolfie. Oh my god! Oh my god, that was an absurd amount of damage. So the Plague comes down, it does outspeed the Fire Koish, and the Tesla Prison comes down as well onto it, lowering its speed, meaning that it's not going to be able to pull this stuff off again. He's basically saying, you get one kill, but I'm going to try to make sure that's the only kill you get, because this means Barnshee can try to 1v1 this.
And at the same time, he's removing one of the 2 Velash counters instantly.
Yep. Oh no, he's brought out the Fire Koish!
Ouch.
Oh no!
I mean, he could because of the -1. It still depends actually, because he would need the synergy then. So switch probably Gazuma into Momo to have the synergy and kill the Cernif.
That's a possibility here.
That could be the option.
Like, I feel like Barnshee would have been the safer option for this. Yes, you're still worried about the double in for it, but a Hypoxia, it still does tons to Cernif, and you're not risking your other Valish counter.
But god, that VCL Synergy Master.
Oh man, if people aren't aware of the terror that this is, hopefully this helps identify this. Like, we've seen how many things Wolfies live. Like Raikan, just throw a Wolfie into that. Cernif Koish? Oh god, no. What do you do into that?
Yeah, now the question is, like, how is Shizenix adapting? If he expects to survive with Cernif the Ketsa, then it's all good. Because you killed the only Valash threat, but yeah, that was sure Momo. So if you read it, you could Ketsa the Momo spot, but yeah, you want to kill the Koish, yeah, kills.
Okay, so Cernif does go down here. meaning that I'm assuming that the Koish is therefore
Yeah,
safe.
good
Yep.
read.
Well, the next question is, how fast is Tiki Book's Momo?
I mean, I don't think it will be faster than Kosh. Yeah, Yolar was just a really good pick there. Now he can just set up for free, Ketsa the Momo.
We could see a bark onto Yowler and then Ketsa into it. That would be pretty painful.
True.
Once again, the thing that I like about Momo here is that it's the more things that I see is just like, you know, you go for fast squishy Momo, you're guaranteed at least something going down or some kind of value on the board. The risk that I've seen with so many fat Momos is they're more prone to being doubled into because they just can't get their stuff off in time. So we
did he
do see a
clinch?
bark into the Ketsa.
Did he clinch Kosh? That would be Pog if he did that.
Oh, that would be amazing. We'll have to see. But
No.
so the Quetzalanian comes down, so this means that you're faster than me on the screen there.
But that sucks.
Yeah, so far it's looking like Tiki Book's still making sure that this is hard for Shizunix to push with. With Firecore still at plenty of health and Kazuma kind of free to come back in here.
Yeah, the only good thing is like Kosh is running low on stamina, I suppose, for Shizunix, but it's still a big threat. One more Ketsa makes him overexert.
I honestly feel like what you could do this turn is, okay, depending, I'm assuming once again, this is Energy Drink Yowler.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I have no reason to assume that this is like a Greedy Resistance badge, which is the other item that I generally see on it. We see War Drum on the Koish. That's another item you occasionally see on Yowler. Although, honestly, anything that low, I really assert you gotta make sure that boy is safe from sleep.
Shizunix has to switch his Koishes as well, or make a big overexertion. I don't think it's worth.
He could try to like okay, so we see Koish get a Hypno down onto the other Koish, outspeeding it.
Beta burst kills for sure.
Yup. Thanks to that bark, it is completely dismantled, and it looks like Tiki's remaining in control of this game.
Yeah, definitely taking back the momentum he lost in one.
Okay, so this Valorant is probably what, Nox bombing to try to scare this Koish off the field?
Yeah, he has to.
At which point, okay, so honestly, I think you just respect that. You swap the Koish out and you bring Kazuma in and try to sparks your Barnshi up because the wind looks terrifying from here.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you read that, he could just switch Koish into Valash, but we'll see.
You're right. The Koish Valash swap feels reasonable here, and that's such a hard read for Tiki to try to do, because if you try to predict that spot and Ketsa it, then first off, that's a very hard overexertion from 12.5. Like that's a lot of health you're dropping there. Yeah. But second off, you're potentially doing that into a sleeping Koish that is going to take nothing from that thanks to the quad resist.
Agreed.
So it feels like if that is the read, then that's great. Now the problem is Barnshi still has plenty of stamina left. And like we could, if Tiki's clever here and the rest of Ronin help advise him and like he saves his priority, then just landing that into Valash still gonna clap.
Yeah, for sure. So I suppose it's aerobic Valorant as well.
We can assume so, meaning that it won't be gaining speed buffs from the Nox Bomb, which I at least am expecting. If it Feather Gad's here, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. So we do see Koish bounce into Kazuma, because it has to respect the Nox Bomb.
So he didn't switch.
Okay. This is really good for... Oh, boy. Yeah, no, this is really good for Tiki. Since I'm assuming that undersped. Yep. Oh, he rested.
That's hard to resting there.
It hurts. Okay, it's better than some other options that are there, but at 18%, oh man, this Koish needs to get some moves off fast. This is a knife fight of a game. It's just like one false move from either side, and so much is at stake. The Valish in the back is such a presence just because Tiki cannot let this pressure up.
I mean,
I know DC beam Kazuma.
he could switch Valorant into Valish, get a Ketsa Prio
Honestly,
into
at this
Kazuma
point,
because Bunch is low in stamina.
quite like the threat of a Tesla prison on some of the stuff on Shizunek's side of the board.
I mean, let's be fair, the Tesla prison had it turn 1 on Cerneve saved him the whole game. Because otherwise
You're
he would have
very
done another one.
I completely agree with you there. The speed control on that combined with locking Cerneve in is the only reason why we're talking about the rest of this match. If that Koish Cerneve lead was left alive, then I don't see anything on Tiki's side that would have been able to deal with that comfortably.
Yeah.
Arzi making the case for DC beam here.
I mean, I run back and always loved back, so I can understand his point, but the moves on Kazuma are harsh to put DC beam.
We see a turbo choreography coming out of out of Kazuma here, securing some strong stuff for later. Synergy Master does not take out Kazuma, and the energy manipulation keeps it keeps Barnshi from overexerting and takes out the Koish.
I mean, that's good actually, because you can get a heal from the Kazuma.
Well, okay, so we're expecting Fire Koish to swap in on Kazuma here. 100%.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Do you want to afford that? Especially because he can Toxic Plume?
Okay, so the reasoning that I have behind... Okay, so at the moment, right, so in terms of like late game matchups, you definitely want Fire Koish into Valish more than you want Fire Koish into Vola. So either we're ignoring Valish, which means that Shize gets a free Madness buff here, or you try to snipe it quick. And if you're sniping it quick, you bring in Fire Koish now to try to do that. So instead, what we see is a hard OX off of the Tornado, trying to just take out this Barnshi as fast as possible, using the Turbo to help do this. Yeah, it's down to 65 from that, but alongside the Tesla Prison, will this be enough? What that might be... Oh man, the Kazuma's allowed to live. This means we could see an Electric Storm next turn.
No, he dies.
Oh, of course, Toxic Plume. I'm a fool.
But, I mean, Toxic Plume is probably for the read of the switch, because it would have been so good against Koish, but now feels hard, especially with -1 speed, you're just, yeah, too slow.
Mm-hmm.
He can't get Sun out of Valorant.
Yeah, so I'm assuming
so
that
hyper.
what Tiki wants to do right now is just Ketsa into Valorant and then just rely on that on his typing to just take down the Valish. I don't know how this is gonna go.
I mean, what I could see is like hyper into Koish to be still quicker and do some damage, and Rend, if he runs Rend.
If he runs Rend, great. The problem is, okay, some people run Rend, and I do think it is the best fourth move on Valish at the moment, but the jury's out on that one. We see a Crystal Dust, which does project that he does not in fact run Rend. And the Hyperkinetic Strike's coming out, and at -1 speed, this isn't going to do very much. Is this going to be enough, is my question. So the Ketsa goes down, so this is all played out as we've expected.
I mean, when you see the dust damage, if Crystal Spike can do 20%, it's okay. But, yeah.
I am concerned by this. I think this is a very close finisher to this match. I think that Shize still has a chance, depending on what else he has in the hole, and if he does have a Rend, then yeah.
It is! So if it's not a one-shot, he wins. Yes. This is such a close game.
Finn beat! If there's a Finn beat, then he wins.
If he has Finn beats, it's GG.
It all comes down to Finn beat.
But does he run Finn beat? That's the question.
That's the question. If he runs Finbeat, he's won this game. If he doesn't have Finbeat, then
He doesn't.
He doesn't. Oh, by the skin of his teeth, Shiznix takes this next game. It is now 4-3 EXO to Ronin.
Such a close game. GG to both players.
Oh my god, that was so down to the wire.
Oh my god, at some point I really didn't think like Shiznix had a chance anymore, and then I didn't expect a 20% Crystal Spike neither.
Yeah. Well, once again, one of the biggest downsides of Fire Koish is that it cannot take hits. It really does not take hits well. Its base defenses, while serviceable in a generous way of framing serviceable, aren't good.
I agree. Actually, Voss is saying like a good point as well. We don't know the speed of his Valash, because Finbeat being the same prio as Crystal Spike, if your Valash is quicker, then still Finbeat can go before.
You're entirely right. I suppose my only question there is, I suppose, what the speeds for those two Tems would have been in that instance, because, I mean, I didn't see any perfect jabbers on there that would have locked Koish's speed down at a lower level than what you would want to run it at in comparison to Valish. So there is every possibility that that was just a stupidly fast Valish.
Yeah. Now I'm just waiting to see if if Ronin wanna invite, we receive. Okay.
Oh man, I mean, the real question here is, who are they going to pick as their last contestant, K-Deer or K-Deer? You know, maybe they'll pick K-Deer.
I mean, they pick Keeder, and again, he wants to be invited and not invited,
Okay.
so it will be Shiznix against Keeder.
All right, let's see if Ronin can bring this back from the edge of the game, or if Exotic French can cement it from here. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of reads that happen there on Shiznix's team. I do think that keeping the surprise value on Shiznix's team helped with that final matchup as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Keeder is doing a fantastic job in this Club Wars.
Definitely. Really nice showcase from Ronin on that. Also, it was nice seeing V the Sage as well. I see his streams often. He's a cool guy. Meantime, though, K-Deer versus Shiznix.
There we go. We jump into our 8th match. 4-3. Sorry. Yeah, 4-3 at the moment for EXO.
Yep. So this is our 8th match. And yeah, honestly, I do think K-Deer has the tools with which to dismantle Shiznix, but we've seen the sheer terror that is Shiznix controlling boards. Like, that was a really crushing mid-game to come back from, but he just squeezed it past there. That's totally possible for him to do again. We see the mirror of Nagulder on both sides here. I think Grumper honestly feels pretty comfortable into Shiznix's team if the Cernif is first banned.
Yeah, definitely. He does a lot there.
I think, though, if you're doing that, you have to first ban Cernif. It doesn't feel like a bad first ban, though, given how many other things K-Deer has that kind of don't want that around. So we see a first ban of Gulder out from Shiznix. Also makes sense. That's something you don't want in your rude power opener that he certainly has been flexing.
I wonder what K-Deer is gonna ban, because I agree with you, definitely a good one, but Gulder Naga is still an option.
We've seen from previous matches, though, that if given a choice there, K-Deer's fine with that matchup, given what he has on his team. He chooses to ban the Valish, though. Interesting.
I mean, he has a lot of walls for Cernif. I mean, Gulder is banned, but still Kinu, Valorant. Actually, that's all now.
No, my concern there is more like, okay, how do you deal with that lead if, you know, you don't ban the Cernif?
I mean, Mix is good into there, because Water Cutting Lily, but just into Puppet Master, but yeah.
Unless we're seeing like a Decidora opener, which could be something interesting.
Was Mix? Yeah, not sure.
Okay, so it's a mix Vola. So this does look like it's relying on, you know, puppet mastering off of the Synergy Master Watercutting Lily, but what's to stop... I feel like there's definitely a way for Shiznix to just kill the Mix in this scenario. I'm not familiar with I haven't seen enough of Mix into Cernif Koish to immediately know what happens there. Also because Mix is such a damn enigma in terms of what it does there. Like, this could be a Mix that just dies to this and this is just a fake out, or this could be a Mix that wants this to happen and puppet masters off of something there. It's still very, like, we've seen some of Kadyr's Mix, but I don't know how it does into this.
Yeah, he has some answers to kill the Mix, but then it's a switch. I mean, I suppose Cernif switch into like Synergy for the Koish and just one-shot the Mix, but...
Yeah, that's something. Okay, so we do see the Grumper ban. This makes sense. Still does a lot into the backline of Shiznix, and it's something that, if you're trying to flex on Guldur as well, then we've seen Grumper really stonewall those before. Pun intended. So, Valorant picked up. I still like Volfi here. I think the stamina... like the stamina plays that you can get out of the Plague will still be pretty valuable, and it's still special attacks into things.
To be honest, I wouldn't pick Wolfie there, because it gets walled by a lot of things now, and Nagais is actually not that bad except Colder. It's good against Firecourage, good against Vola because we know it's aerobic, good against Yolar if it comes, actually maybe not coming Yolar, it was double mental there.
Yeah, it's a little...
maybe.
It does make more sense for us to expect the Kinu Guldur here from Shiznix.
Yeah. Because if he picks Yolar, it's a free Naga.
One thing that would kill this mix, it's not something I expect to see, but it would be an intelligent play. I'm assuming you don't usually wind up running this, but like if we see a weird tech like Sharp Leaf into that for a love tap before the Katsa, that would destroy the mix.
Yeah, but I don't think he runs that.
No, Cernif doesn't have the slots for that these days. It's like Frond Whip, Watercutting Lily, Revitalize, Bush, right?
Or Shy Shield, if you like.
I've seen so many settling Cernifs not run Shy Shield because they don't go for the late game these days. I think Gold's the only person running the classic build.
I did it too, but yeah, I agree with you. We're definitely not the majority.
I mean, I still like Shy Shield on it, don't get me wrong. There's no better way to raid boss Cernif on its own, and if you want it as a one-to-one unit to win games with, then yeah, that's great. I just feel like a lot more people are using Cernif as a space creator these days, and therefore don't prioritize that. They prioritize killing the ever-loving hell out of Naga when it hits the board.
Yeah, because you have really no big way to set up your special defense except Bush or Kinu, of course. So if you want to have an answer for Nagais before getting killed, well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, once again, folks, this is 4-3 favoring Exotic French. Kadir is our last contestant from Ronin facing Shiznix and Fulek, I believe, from Exotic French.
Yeah, you're right.
So, you've come in at a tense and tight moment here. Kadir has, however, previously turned matches on their head, absolutely decimating Classics, but we've also seen that Shiznix and Fulek are no joke and will just run circles around you if you give them space. With this, though, okay. Like, I feel like the Nox Bomb threat onto the Koishir is the strongest presence that Kadir has on this board. But, like, this mix could become something else, but ow.
Yeah, I really wonder I mean, Watercutting Lily into Valorant doesn't feel great. So either you switch it and just try to kill Mix with a Ketsa, but no Synergy Master, I don't think you kill it. I mean, depending on his TVs, of course. He needs to be, like, Kadir needs to be wary of it.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Because he's never gonna Watercutting Lily into the Mix, that's Puppet Master for sure. Yeah.
So
let's just
Cerny
switch.
bounces. Okay, so this is not the swap into... Okay. So we see the crystal spikes land on the Valorant. That does bring it down to under 70%. The Ketsa lands onto our Kadir's Valorant, which brings us to what, 56? The spread doesn't feel excessively good there, but at least it's powering up Kadir's Valorant.
Yeah, a double into Vola just kills the Vola.
At this point, HKS onto Shiznix's Vola alongside Crystal Spikes definitely does a good job here.
I mean,
I
you
feel
can
like you kind of have to lean on that.
You can have in Feather and Crystal Spike.
Oh, of course, you're speed up at this point. You're right. You can save the HKS for something that actually matters with.
So this is a really good start for KDR at the moment.
Now, at this point, if you're Shiznix, I'm assuming you still have to keep the Koishin and pressure with it, but do you even keep the Vola in here?
It's a dead pick if you keep it in there, so I'm really not sure about that one. At the same time, there's not much. I mean, you could bring Kino, I suppose.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Kino feels like the least bad option here, and it's buffing your Fire Koish at least, but I don't know if that gives you enough. At the same time, though, I suppose you have HKS up now, so are you, like, trying to flex with that back onto the Valorant here?
So
No, we see the Koish swap.
you-
That's not what
He could do that, because he's quicker than Mix, probably, with HKS, so yeah.
It's actually quicker than Valorant with a +1 speed. It does not KO it, though.
Feels bad.
And okay, so the Strange Vest Kinu does not take HKS well at all. If this is a Psy Surge into that spot, that's painful. Oh, it's a Crystal Spikes. Oh, boy.
He readed the switch, and I mean, he readed the Valorant switch, I suppose.
Yeah. That makes sense. At this point, it's still kind of awkward for Shiznix's Valorant here. Like, yes, it's at neutral special defense, but, like, you don't have HKS up here, and you're staring a you're not staring a HKS in the face, but you're staring, what, a Plumes? Actually, I feel like K-Deer might want to preserve the Plumes here.
I mean, he wants to hold Golder for one Valorant, it's not there anymore, so... Yeah... This feels harsh for Shiznix, really.
I still feel like if he can get the things that he wants onto the board at the right times, he'll have a fine time of it. But the problem is, at the moment, it's awkward trying to get the presence that he wants.
Yeah. I still was just wondering between Sarnif and Koish, who do we want to bring, but...
So this means that he can just swap Naga in here, right?
Yeah, definitely a good one for him. But at the same time it's risky, because if he switches... I mean, gets a Toxic Plume kills Mix.
Toxic Plume does kill Mix. This is true. Are we 100% sure that it does?
I mean, so it's not 100% sure. It's just we know Ronin.
Oh, no, yeah, no. We know they do like their squishier mixes, so we can assume that that does check out here. Okay, so Valorant is bouncing. This is probably... Oh, it's Yowler. This could be a double swap. Nope. Okay, so we see our Toxic Plume go down here. And yeah, this is... Oh, man, that wasn't even a question.
You can one-shot it with nothing, actually.
Yeah, no, Mix just stayed in and died. Okay, that answers that question pretty clearly. Still, though, I feel like Mix certainly did its job. It made some space early. And it scared some things.
Yeah,
It
no,
did
it's
some
in a
damage.
spot.
So, from here, I'm assuming you suplex the Koish.
And yeah,
Vola
okay.
doesn't really want to stay in here, does it?
No, you have no stamina. I mean, Noxious Bomb would overexert too hardly as well. I think it's just a good switch into Gulder.
Gulder feels like the better thing to put in there. Obviously, Cerny feels strong into this because if you get the right read onto this, then you can just Frondo into Nagai's and that chases it off the board.
Yeah, but you don't want to bring it on a switch. In my opinion, you switch Valorant for Gulder, you do Water Cannon into Yolar to put the 2 Toxic ticks, and you just need to die there with Kosh.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it looks like that's what Shizenix is going for. And we see the Madness buff come out.
Ooh, so risky.
Alongside the show-off on Yeller. Like, I suppose he's in the right circumstance to really start flexing with this, but...
I think that's still a bit greedy, to be fair, but we'll see. It could pay off.
I mean, doesn't a beta into Suplex just kill Gulder?
I don't think so, to be fair, especially with no comebacker. We are talking about the thick boy.
We are talking about one of the thickest Tems in the game. You are not wrong. It also does not have any lost stamina here, so the exhaust's only going to do so much to it. And Gulder's obviously underspeeding here.
I mean, this is probably, he wants to switch then, probably the Naga, I suppose, but it doesn't feel great with Cernif still on the back neither. Nothing is really good. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like if I'm KD here, I just have to keep pushing.
yeah, but at the same time, if I'm Shizenix, I Toxicking the Nagais and Ketsa the Yolar. So if he focused Gulder, Yolar is dead.
So we see the Toxic Ink land on the guys. That's not very unexpected there. We see a Psy Surge come down onto Koish, which will just eviscerate it.
Yeah.
And the suplex does go down on Gulder. That's still a lot.
Definitely a lot of damage.
And we're still seeing... Okay, so Oshi doesn't really threaten very much on Shizenix's side of the board, but the Decidora being up for one more turn is going to be frustrating for pretty much anything that comes in here. Cernif does not have hold-up, so it cannot threaten this board effectively. Water Cutting Lily still hits like a truck, but Beta Burst and Oshi into that still is kind of a nightmare.
I mean, Toxic Ink will finish Nagais, but I would have brought Valorant there instead of Cernif for Shizenix, because Valorant has +1 defense as well. And you could just hyper the Yolar at this point, because you're gonna last anyways, not proc the comebacker.
Hold up. I've been very silly here. What's stopping Kadir from just swapping out Kinu into that Nagai spot this turn? Like, he doesn't die to this poison tick.
Yeah, that's why I would have preferred it that way, but we'll see.
I mean, all I'm saying is he can do that again this turn, and he's still got a living Nagais. Which we haven't seen the item for, now that I think about it. Is that a baton pass, perhaps?
That would be good for him.
Oh no, we saw it on previous games, and it's a double screen, and the reason why it hasn't procced is because Gulder doesn't have a second typing.
Oh, you're right. True, true, true.
Which, I mean, this is one of the things I don't like about double screen Nagais, is it doesn't do anything into one of the Tems that is going to be coming for you 100% of the time.
He stayed. But that's a free Water Cutting Lily into Yolar.
Yeah, that is a bit perplexing.
Because now Yolar dies anyways. Next turn.
Yes, indeed. This is deeply awkward.
And this is what I talk like. I play Kino a lot. I think everyone knows it. But when we look at, he never played around Kino. So he has a Kino in the bench and never used it. And now he has like 2 Tems with 4.7 and 3.9% HP. It's harsh. Yeah.
The frustrating thing with a lot of plays that we see are when people do not bring in Kinus earlier in game, because I mean, you get so much value picked up from that, but doing so disrupts potential momentum. So a lot of it turns into reading the board state and being like, can I afford to slow down here, or can I not? At this point, though, I think it's pretty clear that Shizenix is coming out on top with few options left on KDR's side. Is this the end for Ronin in this club war?
I mean, it's still not done. Oh, he didn't switch. I really thought he switched Yolar for Kino there, because it was perfect for the water cutting lily. But seems not.
Looks like he's just letting... It looks like he's just letting Yowler die. Except it goes into the Valorant instead.
That's way better, because he has Valorant in the back. Good job. Because now he can finish Yolar with Valorant, and even rest with Sony.
True. And I don't see... Okay, so while it is Arrow Vola, I don't see Kinu being able to match up against that effectively. Especially since I don't think Kinu has hold.
And doesn't he have like just Toxic Plume up Valorant?
Oh, yeah, Toxic Plume would be devastating here.
Toxic Plume Revitalize, but is Toxic Plume killing it in once? I suppose?
It's not killing Kinu.
No, I meant Yolar.
Oh, I mean, from 4.7%, anything kills Yowler. And
with no minute special.
No minute special attacks, yeah, it's going down. Like, you would have to be a special kind of bulky for 4.7% to not be a death sentence.
He doesn't even take the risk. Oh.
Interesting. So is this a water cutting lily into Yowler?
Well, should be.
I mean, yeah, I just wanted to make sure here. We've seen some people just not target Thames before. So we see the Beta Burst come down. That's going to take down, what, the Cerneve? Unfortunately, this does still leave a Kinu that just took over 15% from a Nox Bomb up against the thing that did that Nox Bomb. Meaning that by a hair, it looks like Shizenix is going to close out this Club Wars.
Seems like it.
I mean, once again, to quote you from previous matches at this point, you know, Shizenix could, you know, have an internet break. In the meantime, well played to Exotic French, 5-3 to Ronin in this exhibition match. We saw some new interesting players out of Ronin here, and we saw pretty much just the grand old lineup from Exotic French.
Yeah, definitely GG to both participants. Thank you for helping me and making it able to do such a community event for everyone, and a good sparring for both clubs as well.
Definitely. I really liked the fact that we got to see both Vida Sage and K-Deer play some games. Obviously, it's nice seeing Vida Sage flex their muscles in the competitive scene, and K-Deer came in like a mighty force, winning 2 games for Ronin in quick succession, overtaking some pretty powerful folk too.
Yeah, really doing an awesome job there. So again, GG to both. I will do a giveaway for all of you viewers as well, lovely viewers being there. I really appreciate it. I hope you liked it. Talking about events, the 30, so Saturday 30s will be my tournament with a $100 prize pool added to the normal Pansons prize pool. And the 31, we will have another Club Wars. It will be Exotic against Paradox. At the same time, it will be Paradox anniversary, so there will be a lot of giveaways. So stay tuned for this, and I hope you will join us to look at that. Nico Blackie, thanks a lot for the sub with Prime. Appreciate it. Merci beaucoup.
And if you're looking for something to do in between now and then, obviously we would love for you to be a part of that exhibition match. Both because Club Wars are amazing, but also because, I mean, as one of the heads of Paradox Engine, I would love to share the celebration of our anniversary with as many people as possible. It's a cool thing that we've been able to organize this at that time to ensure that that's a possibility there, and I'd love to pay that forward. So don't forget to be there for those giveaways. In the meantime, though, we do actually have just later on today. I think it's actually happening like slightly overlapping. We've got the Joust from Saber today as well. So some innovative team building tournaments out of that. This is a weekly event they hold this week. I believe the limitation is no Thames over base 65 speed. So if you're looking for some interesting matches just after this giveaway, you can hop over there.
Yeah, we will rate them anyways. You know, I try to always avoid doing events at the same time, other events being run, but I had no choice for this Club Wars. It was like
Oh, of
just the
course.
only date, so sorry for that. But
As we've seen
yeah,
before with these kinds of things, it can be so hard getting, especially Club Wars. Anyone here who's organized or helped organize Club Wars certainly should understand how frustrating it is to get 5 people on both sides in the same room at the same time. It's like, oh,
it's always hard. And classics, thanks a lot. Merci beaucoup, mec, ça fait plaisir. Guys, exclamation ticket max to be in the giveaway. I will let it for 1 minute, so you all have time to press exclamation ticket max and being in the giveaway. After that, we will rate Saber, so exclamation ticket max, guys, quickly. And again, Quarter, thanks a lot for being there after the exclamation ticket max. I will of course SO, because guys, if you don't know Quarter, he's one of the best casters, hands down, an amazing guy, a good entertainer. So check him out, give him a follow, that's always appreciated. Let me do the SO quickly.
that's very kind of you. I do appreciate any sort of love and attention people choose to give towards that. It's very appreciated. I just really love casting. It's a fun time, and there's so much depth to the competitive scene of Temtem that I hope to continue to shed light to with other people. Oh,
I
one other event while we're talking about events that is coming up, of course. I don't have a set date for it unless there is a set date and I'm forgetting it. Is, of course, the Fellow Tamers Invitational, which is looking to be quite the event.
Oh yeah, it will be the two first weeks of February, because it will be in a couple of days. The draw will be the
Mhm.
4th February, so we'll see how it goes then. But yeah, that will be an amazing with competition with the 12 highest seeded of the leaderboard. So yeah,
Definitely.
thank you for the follow, IOL TV. Sorry if I say that wrongly. Exclamation ticket max, guys. I will close it in a bit. I gift points to everyone for all the new viewers that they can buy the ticket. Exclamation ticket max.
What is this giveaway Tem, incidentally, or is this a surprise?
Oh no, I always have like a full box of Tams giveaways, and actually I need to make a couple. I didn't saw her. She renamed all of them.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we'll add one of each for today. Oh, so they can choose into the whole box, except those two that's already taken. All are perfects with egg move as well. So, yeah,
Oh well, there we are. We got some Tsubakus right there.
I want to play with Tsubaku Kappa.
Oh, magnificent.
And Tosik always trying me to give away my perfect Loma Saku. He can always dream.
That's a tall order trying to give away that. I see some two eyes in there. I see some Anna here's definitely some hot items. And two of the best Koish on market. Oh, hold on. What's that Schweening Koish in the corner there? Are those breed checks with those X's on them, or are those part of the giveaway as well?
Those are giveaways that were already win but not taken because they couldn't they were on stream but not in game.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, that does mean that people have the choice of. I'm assuming these are all competitive trade as well. So what? Synergy Master, Nature, and Fire Koish.
So okay, I have those are gifted from people, so those are not synergy master. I always tell anyways before people pick. Um, when I receive like things from people for the giveaways, it always helps still for new players for the PVE section and go with the dojo battles or things like that. So I keep those in, but yeah, for com they're not great. I mean, Koish actually Iridescence, the nature one has definitely plays.
Oh, definitely. Okay. I keep saying there's probably room for Bully Mastion to exist. I haven't found it yet, but I can't believe that it doesn't have something you could do with it. It's a possibility. Is that then like a random egg Momo then, or is that like a competitive trade egg?
Yeah, it is a random egg Momo. So basically, I mean, every 2Y is competitive, and I hear I think most of the flawless crystals were taken. Yeah, so they were all taking the float crystals. I didn't expect people to always choose the Anahairs.
I mean, Anna here has definitely been seeing a lot of play recently in tournaments, which is never something I expect to say.
Yeah. So, I think I waited enough, guys. We'll put the giveaway here. Again, last try at 30, I close it. Exclamation ticket max. 10 more seconds. You need one. No, you are EXO. I have one. Oh, Bennett, yeah. I even have 3 Anahairs and 2 are called Hot Turtle.
Oh boy. We
So,
see a lot of Rihanna there as well.
True.
10. Okay, we got around 5 seconds left, folks. Get your tickets in now if you're getting them.
Oh, yeah.
And we are closed.
So, guys, I will pick 3 winners. Good luck to everyone. We'll see who will win. The first winner will be Rarzi.
Congratulations, Rarzi.
Are you in the place?
Oh yeah, I just saw him post. He's totally here.
So, Rarzi, congratulations, mate. Happy for you. Is there something that would make you happy? Find a Luma and win a tournament, Kappa. Congratulations, you are the first winner. Oh, is that Platy right trait? Right trait?
Amphibian does turn into determined, if I recall correctly.
If I recall correctly, yes.
So, I mean, that I would argue Platyped is one of those ones that's hard to say what the right trait is. I would say generally you want determined over Zen, but there's a lot of comps that can make good use of Zen.
Yeah, I agreed. Both are not bad. Platy it is. Okay, congratulations. I am, by the way, in Arisola Temporium, if you can join me there. And in the meantime, we're gonna draw the second winner.
All right.
Karyu!
Let's keep our hype on. Oh, Karyu, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Well, this leaves the question of what lucky Tim is Karyu walking away with?
Good question. What would you like to have? Et je sais pas, Nico, je sais pas. Tiki! Hello, I'm Book. I just saw Tsubaki and Saku, very amazing, so I bought one from Tiki. I recommend you guys to get one kappa.
You guys, don't forget the amazing Drakash that you saw Tiki Book play today. I heard this guy bought one recently from a guy called Alola.
So,
Great stuff.
Karyu, what would you like? Qu'est-ce que tu aimerais plutôt? Good question, because I got this from Blank. Settling.
I believe settling is
Last
not.
Rush, yeah.
Oh, settling is last rush?
No, wait, no, it's not.
I was going to say, settling turns into resilient.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. If you're playing Little Cup, I would argue both are the right trade. I haven't seen anybody flex settling Banapi on Little Cup. People tend to go Pyro, but, you know, there's always room to innovate.
Agreed. I actually have like a roller like this as well for the giveaway.
Oh, I do see that roller in there. Oh, is that a 1-speed roller?
That's a 1-speed roller, yeah.
Those are always dangerous to breed. At least it's thick skin. Oh, man.
Tu veux quel trait pour Tuai? J'ai les deux.
Yeah, no, if you're looking for 2, I get your pick of the litter right there.
I think for Sipanku, that's why I was happy getting 2 eyes, because 2 eyes always
Oh,
good.
sure.
Both trade are good, and with
No matter what
so
evolutions we
yeah.
get, they're guaranteed to scale in value proportionately.
Yes, sir. So he took a resilient 2Y. Let's go for the third and last winner of tonight, guys. Good luck,
Right,
good
get
luck.
your X in the chat.
Fulak doing an
Ah,
amazing job too
there we
today.
go. Win a tournament, win a giveaway. Congratulations, Fulek.
Rigged.
Well played.
GG. Fulak. Are you there? Deux EXO, j'avoue. Rigged, guys. 2 exotic winning. I have no control on who wins. I tell it before.
Yeah, that's what he says every time. It's just fine.
Yeah, sure. Mais toi, je sais que tu prendras un Tsubaku, donc... Fulak, we're waiting for you.
Let's see, is he even in chat at the moment? I see him there. He's definitely around.
Yeah, he's in the chat. Salut Lala. Les exotiques, vous pouvez l'appeler là, s'il vous plaît. Ah.
Oh, well, there we are.
Bon, okay. So, to keep that fair, I'm gonna re-roll it because he's not there, and I'm not gonna say like 2 people pick for him. It's not.
No, that's fair.
not fair. So, I'm gonna re-roll, guys, and we'll
All
see
right.
who will be the winner. Tira.
Oh, congratulations, Tira. That's not a name I've seen before.
Oh, and his hair instantly.
Here we are. Prompt giveaway contestant participants. That's what we like to see.
Oops, Greek. Yeah, I was wondering what did she write? Like, was I or he?
Oh, there we are.
Congratulations. What would you like into this box of giveaways? Exotic 153, Prody.
Definitely looks like a. Honestly, if you don't have enough 2 eyes at the moment, then yeah, they're a really good thing to go for.
Which 2Y would you like? Let me just check, as I gave already a couple of resilient. Yeah, I still have resilient. Yeah. So, spoil sport or resilient, which one would you like?
There you go. So we definitely at least have one there.
Yeah, Rarzi, me too. I already have like two 2Ys resilient and two 2Ys spoil sport level 58, just waiting.
Yeah, a lot of people are not taking chances with what trait's going to be what, and are just picking up both.
I mean, if you don't care, then I'm gonna give you a spoil, so I have like still more of each one. Anyways,
That makes sense.
both are good. Both are competitive trades as well. And for sure in Sipanku, one of those will be spoil sport 2. So yeah. Congratulations then. I am in Arisola Temporium. Oh, I see Rarzi. Just before I trade, I'm gonna be waiting for you guys here for the trades, and I'm gonna send everyone to Saber as well.
Sounds like a good one, folks. Well, in that case, I'd like to thank everybody again for coming and supporting this event. Club Wars are just a fantastic thing to both cast and watch, and I'm glad that you guys were a part of it. Obviously, none of this matters without our fine audience there putting their fancy eyeballs on whatever we're doing here. But I do really hope that this was entertaining. Exhibition matches like this are obviously more for glory than anything else, and of course, good practice. And yeah, hopefully this was good for everybody who was here.
Agreed. I really hope you all had a blast. Again, thanks a lot, Quarter. Always appreciate having you. And hope to see you back on the next streams, guys. And the 30s for my tournament, Quarter will be back as well with me. So stay tuned.
Be prepared, folks.
So send some love to Saber. Put some Superman Sakus there if you have the emotes. I wish you all a good night or a good day, and thank you for coming. Love you guys. I will be still waiting in Temporium for the trades. No worry, guys. See you.
Yeah, see you once again, and thank you so much for stopping by. Well, that was good.
I just know
Yeah.
this is a motivator